Welcome, everyone, to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I am your host, TJ, and with me again, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame in his game because he is always the same.
That's me.
Grump, how are you today? First day of NHL Free Agency. Grumpy, how are you, Grumpy? And I want to preface this by it's going to be a deep breath podcast for you, Grumpy. I'm going to ask you after you to take a lot of deep breaths there, Grump.
I don't have to. I'm proven right again. Right again. I'm never wrong. I hate being right all the time. Just hate it. There's never a surprise ever.
Oh, goodness gracious. What do you mean by you hate always being right?
Well, everything that's been coming out, it's been Palmieri, Parise, Cizikas, whatever. Nobody under the age of 50 need to apply.
Well, we're going to jump into it. We're going to dive into it. Again, this is a slow start, I guess, to free agency for the Islanders. We know a few players are penciled in that, yes, they've been signed back, or yes, they have been offered a contract and they've accepted. We don't necessarily know the term or, exactly how much cap is tied up to certain players, but we're going to make sure we cover all that and kind of the path going forward as to what else we need to do, kind of based off of the rumors and the alleged signings we've already made so far. But before we get too much into the podcast, a few things to mention. Housekeeping items. Remember, we go live every single Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to be going live quite a bit there at Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This next Wednesday, we have the breakdown of every single prospect that was picked there in the NHL draft there by the Islanders. We got the scouting report coming on there to give us an in-depth breakdown. That is going to be very informative. Make sure you're marked out in the calendars. Make sure you subscribe if you watch this on YouTube. Hey, make sure you don't miss out on any of the episodes. Like us on Facebook and follow on Twitter. Also subscribe wherever you listen to their podcast. But grumpy old man.
Yes.
I know you said you're not too surprised about what.
Not at all.
But let's look at it like this. I'm not disappointed yet. I'm not disappointed yet. There's still a lot of offseason to go. I'm not yet disappointed until we start seeing what players are signed back and for how much, how much term they get, and that might change a little bit. But as of right now, I'm not disappointed because I still think we're on track to do exactly what you and I still want the Islanders to do, Grumpy.
We might be on track, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Every year, I say the same thing every year, and you keep on telling me I'm wrong. No, Lou's going to make these changes. No, he is. I'm like, nope, he's not going to do anything. And, you bring in Zach Parise. In essence, you wind up trading Zach Parise for Jordan Eberle.
No, well.
In essence, that's your move.
Well, we're going to get real quick. We do have an ad to read here from DraftKings. I know DraftKings Sportsbook is not only my favorite sportsbook, but it's also America's top-rated sportsbook. Speaking of America, our top athletes are over in Tokyo competing for gold, and DraftKings has a medal-worthy offer just for my listeners, just for our listeners. Listen to this great offer. Place any pre-event wager $1 to be eligible for a cash prize of $100 in free credits if America wins any medal this year. Fair enough. That's 100 to 1 odds on an American athlete to stand on the podium and receive gold, silver, or bronze this week. 100 to 1 odds on an offer like this doesn't come around often. So sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook now and get in on all the action. I love using DraftKings Sportsbook. It's easy to navigate and has plenty of instruction for new bettors and nearly limitless ways to get in on all the action. My friends and families have been loving DraftKings Sportsbook, and I know you will too. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code THPN when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free credits if America wins a medal. That's promo code THPN to turn $1 into $100 in free credits for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older there. New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only there. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for full details. And if you have gambling problems, call 1-800-GAMBLER for help.
Well, hey, that actually sounds like a pretty good gig unless you bet on Simone Biles.
Oh, goodness gracious, Grumpy. He's going to have all the hot takes now, don't you, Grumpy?
That's coming tomorrow, I guarantee you. On the TJ and Grumpy Old Man show, I guarantee you I'm talking about that tomorrow. But that's for tomorrow.
Yeah, Grumpy. The biggest takeaways for this offseason were what? We need the clear cap, which we've done that. We did a good job in the draft. Now it was about adding some offensive pop to this team. I think adding Zach Parise adds offensive pop. What was that, Grump?
Why would you do that? You don't need that. You don't need any offense. Why would you do that? Makes no sense. Why?
We do need offense, and I think we're still going to address it. The offseason isn't over. I still think we are favorites to get Vladimir Tarasenko, to get Vladdy Tarasenko. I still think we're favorites.
All I heard was that has totally cooled off, and they're willing to take him back. They don't want to take any salary. And you know what? If I'm the Islanders, I'm all in. To me, it's the only thing, seriously, honestly, that can save the offseason, improving the team, because we haven't improved the team. Is the only thing that we can do to improve the team would be trading, and I'd hate to say it, Josh Bailey for Tarasenko, because they're both right wings, right? You're re-signing Palmieri. You got Oliver Wahlstrom as a right wing, and you'd have Tarasenko as a right wing. I mean, that's the only move that they could make. Otherwise, they have too many right wings.
You would hate to lose Josh Bailey, Grumpy. I know how much of a big fan you are. You've got a Josh Bailey tattoo somewhere on that body, don't you?
Yes, I do. I don't want to tell you where it is, but I use it every day.
I don't think I want to know where it is. But
you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got Cal Clutterbuck. I mean, like I said, there were only 2 spots open on this team anyway, with Eberle leaving and the other third line spot. They decided to give it to Zach Parise, 37-year-old Zach Parise, and Kyle Palmieri is just coming back. So in essence, it was one guy. I mean, that's all you had. You had nobody else. There was no open spots, and that's what happens when you have too many guys on long-term deals. Just is what it is.
I don't dislike the Zach Parise signing, given. ha- I see you have your eyes closed for prolonged times when I'm saying that. Are you trying to get to your happy space when I'm talking about Zach Parise?
I don't
want to hear
understand
you. I don't want to see an explosion like Mount Vesuvius.
this. I mean, I see. It's funny. I read things. Oh, Zach Parise, he could be this, he could be that. Yeah, he could be a lot of things. But you know what he is? He's 37 years old. He's maybe half the player he used to be. Is he better than Leo Komarov offensively? I would say yes. But here's the thing: with Anders Lee back, Leo Komarov wasn't going to play anyway. I mean, that's the whole thing. I like I said, it's a nonsense signing. And the worst thing you hear is that they gave him an option if he wanted to sign for 1, 2, or 3 years. I mean, what was the market for Zach Parise? For a 37-year-old guy who was scratched the last 10 games of the year, he was just a depth guy at the end in Minnesota. What's the market for a depth guy? I don't know. At 37, I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I kind of want to break that down bit by bit. Now, you say Zach Parise and talking about that deal. He was offered, at least that is the rumor by Michael Rousseau, is that he was offered either a 1, 2, or 3 year deal. If it was a 1 year deal, you have potential bonuses included there, or 2 or 3 year deal is kind of what he saw. So we had a few options. I will say this. I could not imagine the marketplace for a guy like Zach Parise to be insanely high. And here's another thing. We don't know what the contract is, so I will reserve making any preliminary judgments. That being said,
as I'm doing also.
Yes, because here it is. We are going live Wednesday. This is the day of the start of NHL free agency. You're not going to see us go berserk or ballistic yet. We have no idea what contracts are out there. We have no idea how much term or what they were tied to. So, we have to reserve judgment right now. But I do want to go over the Zach Parise item. I like him coming here and playing a third line role. That being said, Zach Parise should be on the ultimate, I'm going to use air quotes, hometown discount of any player that's out there on the market for us. How many times have we heard the reason why some players choose to go to places that are cheaper or will pay less money than the Islanders? We've heard it a litany of reasons, over the last 10 plus, 20 plus years, right? Oh, the reason they went to XYZ team is because they were competitors. The Islanders are competitors. The reason they went to XYZ team over the Islanders is because they've got a brand spanking new arena, and their arena is excellent. We've got a brand spanking new arena. The reason they went to XYZ team instead of going to the Islanders is because they're a legitimate team. They've got a legitimate general manager. They compete for Stanley Cups every year. Where are all those items? Not to mention, Lou Lamoriello already has, a relationship there with Zach Parise and, JP Parise as well. I mean, I hate to say hey, the legacy there. I feel like this should be the ultimate opportunity for one of the cheapest, most beneficial hometown discounts the Islanders could cash in on. If there's one player that should have been on a very, very cheap deal, there's no way in hell the Islanders should have paid market price for him or above market price. There's no freaking way. I will be shocked if they paid market price or above market price for Parise.
Well, I wonder why. I try to roll it through my head. Why is he only looking for certain types of players? And then I thought, you know what? We don't like to play any young guys. We don't like to make deals or anything that, for the most part, unless it's somebody that we know. And I just think that Lou and Barry just don't like new things. Like, you catch them up in their room and they're still playing with the same old fire truck they've had from when they were 5 years old, and they're still rolling around on the floor with a little ladder. Maybe it's a little bent. Maybe the ladder attachment's a little broke. But man, they love that ladder. They love that Zach Parise ladder. They love that Kyle Palmieri little police car. The lights don't work anymore. Doesn't make any noise. But those are the type of things they like. They just don't like any new things. They just like the old dependable things, the things in their 30s. Casey Zizekas, let's see what sign him back for. I mean, I saw Eric Holla getting, 2 years, 2.375 for a year. He's a better player than Casey Zizekas. He signed that with Boston today. Same age, third line, fourth line center, same player. And I guarantee you, Casey Zizekas will get paid more money than that. You can just book that.
Okay, I will say Eric Hula there, grumpy old man. Um, Casey, I think, is maybe a little more valuable to us than a guy like Hula would be. That being said, we don't know the contract.
Can I just stop you right? Why would he be? He's the same player. They're the same player.
I thought Hula played wing. Am I wrong with
No,
that?
no, he's center. He's a center.
Okay.
He's center. I mean, they're the same guy, except Hula has more scoring ability. That's the only difference, and he can play the third line. I mean, that's not Casey's gig. I mean, I just think you're gonna find Casey's gonna get wildly overpaid compared to Hula. Why? And here's the thing: it's the same every year, right? Opening game, guys get paid a lot of money. Some guys deserve it, some don't. I mean, you look at some of the contracts, and it's like, man, that's crazy money. And then you look at Landeskog, and you see he gets $7 million per. And the first thing I thought was, man, oh man, did we overpay for Anders Lee? That was the first thing I thought. I'm like, this guy isn't close to as good as Anders Lee, and they got paid the same amount of money.
Okay, I don't like doing this because I'm not a big fan of the Anders Lee contract, but you're going to make me do this. The reason why it's not as bad as you're making it out, it's not as black and white, is because at the time period when they signed Anders Lee, it was pre-COVID. The cap wasn't staying flat for 3 years. The cap is now going to be on year number 2 of staying flat here when he signed this contract. They had no idea the cap was going to stay flat. So I'll give him a little bit of wiggle room there, okay? I hate defending that contract, but I will defend it in a pretense in the way you just mentioned it.
The problem I have with that contract is they bid against themselves. They didn't have to because he was going nowhere. No one wanted him. Oh, there was maybe Montreal had a 4-year offer, maybe. No one. He was going nowhere. Everyone knew it. And Lou bid against himself and jacked the price up. He wasn't worth $7 million 2 years ago. Absolutely not. If he signed that contract today, it wouldn't be anywhere near $7 million. He bid against himself. He does it all the time with the veterans on the team. He falls in love with the vets on the team, and he overpays for them. He does it every single year. Every year.
Okay. I'm not going to bring up something we did 2 years ago because we're talking about stuff we've done currently and what's going to happen, grumpy old man. So I'm not going to be talking about something you still have an issue or gripe about 2 years ago.
But here's the thing. If you don't learn from history, you're bound to repeat it. And we're just repeating it again. We should just call Lou. If he had any hair, he could be shampoo Lamarillo. Wash, rinse, repeat. We do the same things year after year. I can't wait to see who this year's Dmitry, what was his name? Timashov, the guy we let go?
Hold on. If you stop and let me talk a little bit, I'll give it to you. It's Dmytro Timashov, grumpy old man. That being said, I will reserve judgment, and I will play on the reserve judgment role, as should you, as should all Islander fans right now, because we don't know what the contracts are. Given, if he comes out there and we're giving, Casey Zizekas, $4.5 million a year. Remember, again, when he said $5 million is what it would take to bring me there, maybe to the Seattle Kraken, you would think that he was going to take a substantial hometown discount based off of what we have going on. A lot of players, I'd like to think, would want to take a hometown discount, especially guys who've been lifelong Islanders. Again, I don't blame players for not taking hometown discounts, but I would be shocked if they don't. Just because, what's the point of bringing them back if they're not going to take a hometown discount if you can get someone of comparable value for a little cheaper? Because the biggest portion of the offseason, as I will stand by the comments I've made all year long, is we need to add an elite scorer, an elite sniper. And I think the way we can do that is still through Tarasenko. I still think Tarasenko is out there and available. If we don't get a guy like Tarasenko, and next year we're rolling out the starting lineups of just with the addition of Zach Parise and whoever we're going to throw down there at the left-handed defense spot, that is not a successful offseason, in my opinion.
Can you tell me the last time that anyone on this team took a hometown discount to stay here?
Okay, I said this to you last time, and I'll say it again. John Tavares, when he originally signed that contract, the first one before he left, that was originally a hometown discount, in my opinion.
He was a restricted free agent, and that was the previous regime. And what was that, 10 years ago? 8 years ago? No one on this roster is taking a hometown discount. Not one player. And I don't blame them. Players need to make their money. They know they got the old man who'll just stare at him long enough. He'll give you whatever you want. Unless you're a young guy, then he'll just bury you. But if you're an old guy, you just wait it out. He'll give it to you.
Okay.
You're going to be stunned with the money that Casey Cizikas gets. That's my prediction.
I hope I'm not stunned, because I would be very upset if that's the case. And I'll stick by this statement again. And please comment down below. Seriously, comment below. Share your opinions with us. I don't care. Let us know. Maybe I'm out of touch. I don't think this offseason is a complete offseason if you just go ahead and re-sign Kyle Palmieri, who was already on your team last year at the trade deadline, and you go ahead and acquire Zach Parise and just go ahead and pick up somebody to replace Nick Leddy. What's got going on over there, Grump?
It's the warden's phone.
Ah, gotcha. But I don't think that would be sufficient. And I'll say this about Nicoletti. As much as I trashed on Nicoletti, the item is with him. We know all of his warts. We know all of his weaknesses. We know all of his deficiencies. He's a top 4 defenseman across the league. I don't know who would be targeting maybe through free agency, because most of the defensemen have been gobbled up. Unless we're having a plan to make a trade, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the only guy left really is Ryan Murray, right? There's nobody else left for left-handed shot defensemen. I mean, and I don't feel that they're going to roll out one of the young guys. I just don't see that happening any way, shape, or form. So, it just kind of is what it is. Like I said, I just hate being right all the time. I saw this coming. I thought we did a good job shedding cap. And I thought our draft was okay. And now, I look at everyone rating our draft. Everyone's giving it, C's, C+. And then you know what I come to realize? When Lou Lamoriello has been drafted in the last few years, he goes off the boil on just about every pick. And we just kind of went chalk this year. So we think that's great. And hopefully it is. Okay. But that's when your expectations are so low that if somebody just does what they're supposed to do, or average, you think it's great. Okay. And that's why I feel a lot of Islander fans.
I want to interrupt on that point, because Aatu Ratti has been playing extremely well right now in the summer showcase. He's been playing well. Again, another game today. I think he was playing against Team USA, a goal and assist. He's played really well over this time period, and I think that's a steal of the draft. I don't care what people are giving us, rating-wise. We'll be able to talk to Will Scouching about that. That's all the information we're going to need is next Wednesday. We don't have to worry about anything but that.
Yeah, there were 6. I'm just saying, when we kind of went chalk on the draft, that was, that's just, that we think that's a great thing because of how poorly we drafted the last number of years. That's all.
I disagree here a little bit. And again, I don't know where you're reading that they're saying it's a C or a C+ on the draft. I wouldn't use that as a reliable source there, Crump.
Okay. That's what The Athletic said. That's what TSN said. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of sites out there. No one's giving us high grades. I was pleased with the draft. And then I had to rethink. I'm like, gosh, was I just wrong? Which is hard to believe, of course. But then you see what everybody else is like. Okay, well, they could have done this. They could have done that. We'll see. I happen to think that the Ratu pick is really good as well.
Ratu, again, in the summer showcase, he leads the entire summer showcase in scoring, 4 goals, 4 assists over that time period. So at least that's worth taking in there to account, Grumpy. I'm not worried yet, but as the offseason continues to go on and on, if we don't make a move there for Tarasenko, and once we get to see kind of what the cap situation is, that's where you might see kind of opinions change a little bit. As of right now, hey, maybe we could have signed all these guys on sweetheart deals. Is the likelihood of that high? Probably not. But, to play devil's advocate, it is a possibility. There is a little clip I wanted to play here for you. I don't know if anybody was watching NHL Network here today. But there is I think this is an important clip there. And this is kind of the same feeling that I know I share with Grumpy. I know a lot of Islander fans share out there. Grumpy, as soon as he saw it, had to send it to me. So I'm hoping the quality of this is going to be good. But let me go ahead and play this here for you guys.
About the Islanders. This is a team, Grimmer, that's gone all the way to the Eastern Conference Final, which was called the semifinal this year. They lose in 6 to the Bolts last year. They lose in 7 to the Bolts this year. One of historically the finest teams in recent memory. No shame there. How do you appraise their team right now, the moves that they've made with Palmieri and potentially Parise?
Yeah, I mean, in my estimation, the thing that to your first point, Tony, the thing that holds this group back, in my estimation, they play with great defensive structure. I think they've really they found the recipe at the goaltending position. I like this group up and down the roster. I think Coach Trotz gets the maximum amount out of this roster. I think they lack the firepower to compete with the best teams in the NHL, certainly on the eastern side of this league. So, in my estimation, it's more danger up front. And as strong as I am on the likes of Palmieri, I think Parise will be an interesting fit. This is obviously a different situation than he walked into in Minnesota or the expectation in New Jersey. He is a middle to lower tier guy, Parise is. That's certainly going to be the expectation going into the island. How does he deal with that? Because this was a good source of frustration, the way he was being deployed in Minnesota. So I think a fair bit to play out in terms of the fit, in terms of the impact of these two players, Palmieri and Parise, respectively. But in terms of, is this the answer? Does New York, the Islanders, go on to compete with the best in the NHL? I don't know if this gets them over the hump. And
I understand where you're coming from. I mean, there was a little evolution there and loved what I saw with Barzal, because he is a game-breaking player. Can they re-sign Casey Cizikas? Is that fourth line going to stay intact? Where they're going to be there. They're always going to be a team under Barry Trotz. It's going to suffocate you and frustrate you and it's a difficult team to get by. But I agree with you on that part of the difference-making part. Sometimes during the regular season, you have to pound a team 7-1 to have some, to get away from the game. I mean, winning 2-1 and winning 3-2 is tough, and it's a tough toll on your body because you exert a lot of that defending style, and that, that mental toughness is great, and they have it. They certainly have it. But then you've got to go through maybe 4 rounds of possibly 7 games of the playoffs and play that way, which isn't easy. Zach Parise, though, to go there, he'll want to prove Uncle Lou right. He'll want to go there and be a leader, be a tenacious player. I think it was tough for him, the way that he was a healthy scratch and then being bought out, and there's a lot of things that go along with it. But I think he's a character-filled guy, and I think he'll go there and for 1 year he'll do a great job for them in a certain role.
Mm-hmm. The sentiment.
Yeah, Scrumpy. That being said, I do want to address a few of the points that they brought up. I am not worried about him being not content or discontent in a third line left wing role. I think when he was brought in, he's probably going to come with the expectation that is my role. So I don't think that's going to be an issue, even though that caused some issues there in Minnesota. That will not be an issue here on the island.
Okay, the first thing I have to say is you realize these gadflies on the NHL Network, they never say anything negative about anybody. That's about as lukewarm of an endorsement that you're ever going to find. Okay? What do they say? They don't have enough firepower to beat the good teams. And that's true. I've been saying that for how long? I mean, they hemmed and hawed, he's really a bottom 6 guy, but, maybe he could do this. Maybe if and nuts in a bag of nut, ifs and buts in a bag of nuts. I'm sorry. He's 37 years old. There was no reason. Why not give Kiefer Bellows a shot? Why not give a young 23-year-old a shot instead of bringing a guy who's finished?
Okay.
Why?
Here's where I disagree with you a little bit. I think Kiefer Bellows should get playing time. Ideally, what you'd like to have happen, 37-year-old left wing Zach Parise playing an 82-game season after just playing shortened seasons the last 2 years. I think that might be tough. I think ideally how you'd like to have it is if you're able to keep Kiefer Bellows and you don't have to offload him for either trading for a defenseman or trading it involving their Tarasenko. You want to slowly break him in. The same way they do sometimes with goalies, the same way they did with Noah Dobson. I think Kiefer Bellows deserves a shot. and he should. But it should be a split, and I think that Parise should get the majority of games. And I think in the playoffs, ideally, if the Islanders make it, he should play the games in the playoffs, or depending on whoever's playing best at the time period. Really, is how it should be. But you can't just say, "Here you go, Kiefer. We're just going to throw you the spot like that." I think Kiefer's got to earn it. I think Kiefer could earn it. But, the unfortunate part about the team sometimes is I get the feeling that even if the young guy earns it, they're still going to give it to the veteran, despite the other player bringing more to the table.
Very true. They don't give the young guys a shot. Select few get the shot. That's it. 2 guys. They just happen to be 2 guys that Lou Lamoriello drafted. Everybody else, you need not apply. Kiefer Bellows, 3 games, 3 goals. Not good enough to even get a sniff. He's not going to play. If they were going to give him a shot, why would they sign Zach Parise? If they were going to give him a legitimate shot, a 23-year-old power forward just starting to develop, why would you sign a 37-year-old Zach Parise? Because you're not going to give him a shot. He's not going to get a shot.
Okay, and we got to play devil's advocate here because we talked about the window to win for this team is finite. So I have no issue at all if they bring in Zach Parise on the cheap. None. If they bring him on a league minimum or close to league minimum deal, no problem at all. If they bring him in on something like a $3 million, $3.5 million a year deal, I'm going to be upset. I mean, but if you're telling me if we can add a player like that with Parise, who maybe just had a down year last year, and again, he's been consistently a 20-plus goal scorer a year guy, and you're able to bring him in on league minimum, I'm not complaining at all with that. I'd love that. Would you not enjoy that? I mean, it adds to your depth, worst comes worst. I've talked about this a million times. We have been unbelievably lucky regarding serious injuries over the last 2 years, right? Anders Lee was a big injury last year and Pellick the year before that. But for the most part, we don't miss all that many players throughout the playoffs. Think about that. We've had a really healthy lineup the last 2 years in the playoffs and through the majority of the regular season.
Yeah. Here's the thing. He's not bringing in Parise to perhaps be a guy who's going to get a shot, he and Bellows. He's bringing him into play. I don't think he's going to get the money that you were talking about. I think it'll still maybe be $2 million, which is still way too much for what he brings. People they want to say, well, gosh, he did this 3 years ago. And, if you take away the last 2 years, for the previous 5 years, he was in the top 7 and this and that. Well, you know what? All I know is the last 2 years, he's been toast. And once again, he's not just like all hockey players. They don't age like wine. They age like vinegar. And you're seeing it with Zach Parise. And here's the thing. I like Zach Parise. I do. He just can't play the game anymore. Certainly not for this team at the level that this team is at. I mean, am I surprised? Nope. Why? Because he's in his mid-30s and he's got a history with Lou Lamoriello. Kyle Palmieri, same thing. Guy in his 30s has a history with Lou Lamoriello. Well, these are the type of guys he brings in. That's just what he does. I don't think he even looks at anybody else around the league. Lou's guys, he got them all on speed dial. Boop, 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 boop. He tries. If he does the other guys, it's like you can't buy me love. We're on the long road to mediocrity, the long winding road to mediocrity.
Stop. Okay, I
just figured I'd throw in a couple of Beatles references since I'm wearing a Beatles shirt today.
I see it. I still think I'm still very confident that we are the favorites to get Vladimir Tarasenko. I know Buffalo's been making some moves. I know the Devils have been making some moves. I know now it's rumored, hey, now Philly is no longer, hot on Tarasenko. It's more of the Devils, right? The Devils today just signed Dougie Hamilton. I'll put it to you like this. I still think we're the favorites for Tarasenko. And I think it's a good fit for a Tarasenko, Josh Bailey swap or somewhere along those lines where those are the key players involved.
I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't think they want him here. I think maybe Lou would have brought him in, but he wanted to do it on the cheap. He wanted them to keep money. And St. Louis says they're not keeping money. If they would rather keep him on the team next year and have him play there than pay him to play for somebody else. That's just what the GM said today. So, whatever, like I said, could be a smoke screen, but from everything that, Friedman and Dreger are hearing, that's kind of gone cold. I mean, I think we had a shot to get him, We chose not to, obviously, because when you're signing Palmieri back, that means you don't have a spot for Tarasenko.
If you make a trade, Josh Bailey would be involved in some capacity. They exposed him already to Seattle. It would lead me to believe that Bailey would have to be involved in some capacity. If that's the case, you have your spot. So I'm not going to say we're not going to make a trade for Tarasenko because we've signed back Palmieri. And I'll put it to you like this. I made the statement beforehand. I would rather enjoy Palmieri over Eberle. And again, there's a lot of reasons to it. It's not just straight up talent-wise. I think Palmieri's style is, more conductive to play up and down the lineup than Eberle's style was. That being said, too, I think Palmieri's a guy who you can get cheaper than we had Eberle. And, I will say if we end up, once the dust is kind of settled and we look at what the contracts are worth, if we have a significant chunk of cash or a significant chunk of cap space left, I could promise you we're still involved in on Tarasenko. If we come out after we sign, whoever we need to sign, and we're going to be right up against the cap, I would say our likelihood to get Tarasenko is much more cloudy than what I originally had anticipated.
I'm going to tell you. I think you'll be surprised. I think Palmieri is going to make Eberle's money. Exactly what Eberle made, maybe a little less, but he's going to get at least $5 million a year. I'm going to tell you that right now. And he's probably going to get 4 years, which I was hoping 2 for 6, right? $3 million per. Not when Lou's involved with one of his guys. Whatever you want, you got it. What, you wanted 4? I'm going to give you 5 because I like you.
I will say one thing I always kind of chuckle at is when people are trying to make the comparison. Now we're seeing a lot of this on social media. People saying, oh, well, look at this. Our starting lineup's going to be way better than it was when we were in the playoffs. Now we're going to have Anders Lee back. We're going to have Palmieri, and we're going to have Parise. That's so much better. I just kind of keep scratching my head thinking to myself, yeah, Anders Lee was part of the team last year. He was hurt. And for you to come in with a conception that next year during the regular season and next year during the playoffs, there might not be the chance for us to lose one of these guys who are a top 6 forward or a top 4 defenseman, I'm a little bewildered by that. I think that, it's safe to assume you're probably going to lose one important player a year, or that's kind of, let's say we're going to lose about on average one important player a year. So the fact that it happened to be Anders Lee, let's be happy it's not a guy like Matt Barzal or Brock Nelson, or, a guy like Adam Pelech. Could you, again, imagine Adam Pelech being out in the playoffs, or Ryan Pulock being out in the playoffs, or Matt Barzal being out in the playoffs. For you saying, now that we're starting the new season, we've added back Anders Lee. This is a huge plus and boost to our offseason. Anders Lee was already on your team, and he was already going to be healthy. I never understand that talking point. I never understand how people say, look at that, we're going to add Anders Lee into this equation on pluses for our team next year. No, he was on your team already. He was just injured.
It's dumb. It's dumb. Here's the thing. You have, in essence, traded Jordan Eberle for Zach Parise. That's what you've done. And you still don't have a replacement for Nick Leddy. I mean, I realize we had to do things to get underneath the salary cap, but you know what? You need to go out. What you needed to do was change the team. Go out and get someone who could put the puck in the net. As Stu Grimson said in that clip that you played, we're not good enough to beat the really good teams in the league. We don't have enough firepower. I've been saying that for years, and it's proven right every single year. And here's the thing. Other teams around us have gotten better. They have gotten better. We're, once again, just status quo. I mean, I'm sorry. I hate to tell you, that's not good enough to win a Stanley Cup. We're just another year older. And now we're going to play a full 82-game season. Let's see how the old guys hold up over 82 as opposed to 56.
I will tell you that is something that kind of scares me. We've talked about it. I know we're going to hammer it home, is the fact that we're going to have that huge road stretch or road streak there to start the season, which is never something you want to start with, because again, if you're not able to gather some momentum or get off to a good start, you could be really digging yourself out of a hole the entire season long. And when you just keep digging and digging and digging, it could be tough to go ahead and kind of get your legs back and mentally get, back into a mindset of, okay, no longer do I feel like I'm treading water because I'm being drowned because, we're 5 or 6 games out of first place or 7 or 8 games out of first place the entire season after a bad road start. So that might be a little bit of an issue, but that's more of a deeper into the offseason question, kind of changing it back here to free agency.
I just look at what some other teams, Tampa Bay. Man, Tampa Bay knows how to do it. I'm going to tell you, they lost some guys, but look what they did. I mean, they signed Braden Point back, and people saying, "Oh, $9.5 million, that's a lot." He's a cornerstone piece for them. I mean, he's still young, 9.5 per. That's the same. He's not getting 13, 12. He's getting 9.5. And this guy is a fantastic playoff performer. He's one of the linchpins of that team. They trade $5 million of Tyler Johnson and a second-round pick, and they get Brent Seabrook back. $6.87 million a year that he's already kind of retired. So for 3 years, they're going to get 6.87 of cap relief every single year.
That's not how that works.
He's long-term injury. Just like Johnny is.
I get it, but look at it like this. If you add a piece that's on long-term injury, all you did was offload your current contract, and you added, let's say, a contract that's $6-some-odd million. You could technically use that as cap relief for certain. You can go over the top. That being said, you're only getting the $5 million worth of cap relief. So you're only getting $5 million worth of cap relief, not 6 point. But it's whatever. It's a moot point. You're still getting cap relief there with that. And again, Tyler Johnson is more of a contributor than a guy like, and Andrew Ladd was, even though they say they're going to try to, roll him out there and play him. Did you see, changing topics a little bit, Josh Hosang getting a little PTO there in Toronto? Good for him. I hope he is able to really make the most of that opportunity. That's a guy where I don't care if he turns out to be a Hall of Fame caliber player after he leaves. I wish him nothing but success.
Yeah. You know what? Good luck to the kid. He obviously needed a change of scenery. He never, we've been through this 100 times. He never got a legitimate shot here. Just never had a chance. They just didn't like him. They didn't want him playing. That's it. Why they didn't release him years ago, I have no idea. I almost think they were just trying to punish him just to derail his career. I mean, why else would you not just let him go? If you had no inclination to play him at all whatsoever, let him go. Let him go. Nope. We're gonna we're gonna make you play out the string, and then we'll say see you later. It's a bad move.
I don't know why you keep hitting on it. All I'm saying is I'm happy. All I'm saying is he's happy he's going to Toronto.
I'm telling you what, it's almost like restraint to trade, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, the kid they had no interest in him. Why have him on your team? You could pick up some other 40-year-old to put on your AHL roster. Those guys have a better chance of playing than he ever did.
Oh man. Goodness gracious.
I guess I saw the chemistry that he had with Brock Nelson all those years ago, and I said, man, what could have been? That's all. I mean, however many years ago that was, 4 years ago? I mean, you could tell the kid had talent, but we're not interested in talented kids on this team.
I will tell you, I will be shocked. I'll be very disappointed if we're looking at Kyle Palmieri and he's making upwards or around $5 million. I'll be disappointed in that. Because we talked about it last time. Pelech is projected to be getting around. What did he say? He came to the table and said he wanted like $6.5-7 million a year. What was it that Palmieri said? He said he wanted some astronomical number. They're probably going to work his way down a little bit, but I still don't think the offseason is lost if we can get Tarasenko. I think that's the big push. That is the big piece that could really put us over the top. Tarasenko definitely a plus over Everly, no doubt about it. And you and I would agree that Kyle Palmieri is a different skill set player than Josh Bailey, but I think that's an overall plus for us as well, perhaps.
I think Palmieri is a better player than Josh Bailey. And I also agree with you, and I hate to say it, that if this offseason can be salvaged if we somehow get Vladdy Tarasenko, for certain. It can be salvaged.
How you say it can be salvaged? You're acting like it's already ruined. I will prevent saying that the offseason's lost yet.
Okay, no. What if I say you can't bring back the same lineup that wasn't good enough to win the last 2 years, adding a bottom six piece and expecting the team to somehow improve when everybody's over 30? Look at the current lineup. You have 9 forwards over the age of 30. I'm sorry. They're not getting any better. They're not getting any better. You have to get better. If you were not good enough to win last year And if you just continue with status quo, how do you expect to be better the next year and have a chance to win? It's just not going to happen. And I'm going to tell you again, I'm worried about the Philadelphia Flyers, a team that I hate the most in all sports. They've changed the mentality of that team. They absolutely have. And you want to know who else did a great job as a GM? Bill Zito for Florida. My God, that they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They're signing young players to long-term deals. And, I mean, you look at Reinhardt's there. Bennett is just signed an extension. I mean, I just look at these other teams. I'm like, man, they're not afraid to go for it. Does it feel like the Islanders are going for it in any way, shape, or form? I don't.
Yes, I will say, well, every year at the trade deadline, it feels like we're going for it because we're giving up a first plus whatever else there to make additions to the team. So that feels like we're going for it in that token. This offseason, though, we cannot, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know how anybody can explain to me saying bringing back the same piece we had in Kyle Palmieri for the last 10 plus games of the year in the entire playoffs and just essentially removing Travis Zajac for Parise and removing Nick Leddy, who's a top 4 defenseman across every team in the NHL, and sliding whoever they're going to slide in there is an upgrade for our team. People are going to say, oh, we've got Anders Lee back again. Injuries happen. To expect there to be no injuries next year, or for Anders Lee or a guy like Brock Nelson or a guy like, Palmieri, for guys not to get injured next year, I don't think you're looking at the grand scope of things.
Okay, Anders Lee is not a difference maker. He's not. He's a solid, guy who can stand in front of the net, deflect pucks. That's what and he's good at it.
He's much better. He's much better than the first line left we were rolling out there last year, though.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. That said, he's not somebody who moves the dial. When was the last time we signed anyone to this team from somebody in free agency that moved the dial? Ever? Have we ever done that? Never. 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 The answer is never.
I'm trying to go back.
Andrew Ladd was our biggest free agent signing from another team. That was our biggest one in however many years. 6, 7, 8 years. Maybe 20.
Maybe the last 10, the last decade, I'd say at the time period that Andrew Ladd probably was the biggest signing we had from that point.
I'm going to go one step further. Since the advent of free agency, he's the biggest big name free agent we've ever signed to this organization. Somebody will have to give me somebody else's name who they said, oh yeah, that's a difference maker. We don't have any. We have one difference maker on the whole team. One. Number 13.
And Tarasenko wouldn't be a difference maker we signed through free agency. That's going to have to be a guy we acquire through a trade. Very possible. I would still be shocked if St. Louis keeps Tarasenko, just seeming that they've re-signed Buchnevich, or they've signed Buchnevich officially, and they've got a whole bunch of different pieces there on that team and squad. I'd be shocked if they kept Tarasenko. Shocked.
Now, you would say that Pavel Buchnevich is a better player than Kyle Palmieri, wouldn't you?
I don't know, but
I would. And considering his age, he's under $5 million per. He's under $5 million per, what they got him for, St. Louis, 4-year deal. I'm just, like I said, I'm dying to find out the term and the numbers for Kyle Palmieri.
Buchnevich had a good year last year. It's really the first year I think he's kind of flourished onto the scene. Again, he was close to a point a game average. That being said, he's only had 2 years, and he's a younger guy. He's only had 2 seasons where he's put up more than 20 goals, albeit the last 2 years, as he's kind of getting closer to this prime, we're shortened seasons. Maybe Buchnevich can flourish. He can continue to grow into that. But as of right now, I think it's kind of a wash. Maybe I'd slightly favor Buchnevich long-term, just because he is a younger player.
A lot younger. Not a little younger, a lot younger.
Yeah, Buchnevich.
Those are the guys you pay. He's shown that he can play in this league. He has the option or the opportunity to become better as the years go on. Do you think Kyle Palmieri is ever going to get better than he was 2 years ago or 3 years ago? I mean, I know he should be better than he was last year. 15 games, 2 goals. I know he scored 7 goals in the playoffs. You want to know who did that the year before free agency for the Islanders? That's right, Jordan Eberle. How'd that work out in the long run? At the time, I said, You don't want to sign guys who are 29 years old to 5-year deals. It's a mistake.
You like the Jordan Eberle signing at the time period.
No, I said that was the only one.
That's the one you wanted originally.
I said of all three of those guys, he'd be the only one that I would even consider re-signing, only because of the chemistry that he had with Matt Barzal and Anthony Beauvillier. And what was the first thing that Barry and Lou did when they came into power? Beauvillier, you're not on that line anymore. That line's never had the same juice.
Hold on.
You heard me right.
You're getting the timeline mixed up, because when we inherited this team, they did not go to the playoffs under the Doug Waite system.
Correct.
So I think you're mixing up the timeline a bit. It was his first year there. They made the playoffs and he played well. They signed him to that extension with their first year there. So you're getting the timeline mixed up.
No, but he was on that team previously. He was with the Islanders previously before Lou got there. And they had the chemistry between Beauvillier, Barzal, and himself.
You're talking about how he did well in the playoffs, Grump. That wasn't until the year after he signed.
That's what got him the deal. That's what got him that deal, to sign that deal again. I mean, because he was not fantastic when he came in and they took Beauvillier off that line. His numbers weren't great.
Okay. Maybe I'm mixing up the timeline, because he did sign an extension in 2019, the offseason of 2019. Which
I do want to correct myself. Buchnevich's contract is $5.8 million a year for 4 years. My bad.
God.
But he's 26 years old.
Making mistakes. I'm ashamed of you, Grumpy. You don't make
it happens.
Well, hey, you said that you would want it, or you'd be most prone to sign back Jordan Eberle. Brock Nelson has been, the best out of those three guys we've signed back there for the value he's provided for what he's being paid.
100% agree. 100% agree.
Hey, I've always been a huge Brock Nelson fan. Always will be a huge Brock Nelson supporter. The offseason is not lost, ladies and gentlemen. Get off the ledge. It's not over yet. We could be singing a different tune once we see these contracts coming off, but no need to be on the ledge, ladies and gents. And there's no need to be on the ledge, Grumpy. I still feel optimistic that Tarasenko is still in our cards, and that is the overarching plan. That is the move Lou Lamoriello wants to execute.
You know what? I hope he does. That's the only thing that can save this offseason. Because if you just take the money that you shed all that cap, you shed draft picks, and just to re-sign your own guys to inflated contracts and bring in 37-year-olds, to me, that's an F. That's an F. As like I said, I gave you the A or an A- for shedding cap. I gave you a B+ on the draft. I'll give you an F for putting guys on the team that are going to be on the team next year. If you just bring the same guys back, you get an F, because returning the same team has not been good enough 2 years in a row, and they're not going to be any better than they were the last 2 years. Sorry.
I will say this too. No matter what happens in the offseason, there's always going to be a sect of fans who always agree with anything the general manager does. Always do. And they will find a way to say anything that the general manager does was 100% the best choice for the Islanders, the best choice for whatever team they are. And I don't know. We applaud our general manager when he does good things. We applauded the draft. Excellent draft. We applauded the good job of moving off, bad contracts. Now here we're towards the final point of what could elevate us to over the top and on the pinnacle. And it's all about, do we do what it needs or what we need to do in order to take the next step? We don't get a guy like Tarasenko. I feel like, no, we don't. So, again, we're going to start getting into the comments here, Grumpy Old Man. John Michelangelo there saying, I'm pretty confident we are adding no one under 30. Grumpy Old Man about to be right again.
Everyone tells me, Grumpy Old Man, you're stupid. You're negative. All I do is speak the truth. Sometimes it's painful. And I can honestly, TJ, I can understand, you made the comment about the fans who say the GM can't do any wrong, the coach can't do any wrong. Well, you want to know something? They feel the same way that I did about this year's draft. And that was the revelation that I had when I was thinking about it, when I saw, gosh, I said, look at all these just C grades for the Islanders draft. I thought they did great. And then I looked at it a little bit closer. You know what? What made me so happy is that we didn't pick a Lundkrantz or a Holmstrom when there were way more talented players on the board at the time. I said, so we kind of went chalk. We picked the highest play guy left on the board. And you know what? Then I'm going, hey, you know what? I feel great. And that's why I think Islander fans for years, the Islanders have been bad, bad, bad. So now we win a couple of years. Nothing is wrong because we're winning some games. I understand how they feel.
Okay. I hate that example you're using right there because I cannot believe you're downplaying the draft. Right there, you downplaying the draft makes me question your mental sanity. Saying
I didn't downplay the draft. I said, I'm trying to think maybe, perhaps, since we've drafted so poorly the last few years, that when we finally do something that's an average draft, most people consider average. And I'm just
like, I don't say most people consider an average draft because I don't care what most people consider. I can look at it and I can say what it is or isn't. I don't need to be listening to some Johnny pencil pusher who's never played a sport in his life or picked up a stick or gone out there outside on the grass or done anything and say, hey, that we've had an average draft. No. I can look at what's happening on the ice, an average draft. Go on, show me who's out there saying we had an average draft. I'll laugh my ass off at what they're writing because
Corey Proman and Scott Wheeler for the Athletic.
Do you remember when
TSN, Sportsnet?
You ready to listen? Do you remember when Corey Proman said way back in the day we had the top 5 of our prospect pool and we had guys like Ishikov, Bodie Wild, and he way overvalued them because he don't know shit like everybody else out there.
You know what?
Come on, we saw that. I remember he even said, "Oh, I apologize."
You know who you sound like now? You know who you sound like now?
You sound
like the Islander fans I was just talking about, the Lou can do no wrong crew. That's exactly what you thought. Thank you for proving my point. Thank you. Please, let's move on.
Aatu Ratti is going to be something special. Guess what? There's a reason why. There's a reason why. And all I have to do is just say, watch. Just watch him. You'll see it. He's performing already. He's going to continue to perform. And that sole piece right there will make this draft. Doesn't matter how any other player that we drafted did. He's going to single-handedly be so successful. I'm not worried about it. For the value that we got him in the second round, I'm not worried about that at all. That guy's going to be a top 6, bona fide top 6 forward.
I hope you're right. I believe they had a good draft too. I'm just saying no one else seems to have rated as highly as you and I, and a lot of Islander fans. And I'm just saying that maybe we shouldn't look at it through the prism of, we're right and everybody else is wrong. Maybe it's the fact that, maybe the last few drafts have been so poor that this one looks really great in comparison. That's all. I'd be so
blindsided by that because that is never the approach we take. We never take the approach of everything we've done is great or things we do are always shiny and peachy. That is not the approach you or I take. So if I'm going to say that something's gone well, I'm a very stingy critic of that. And I think you are too. So the fact that you're hearing a guy like Corey Proman, who, once rated our prospect pool top 5 3 years ago and didn't know. Don't even get me started on Proman. We're moving right along there. Scott Levy there saying, hey, guys, what is up, Scott? Michael N. there saying, so this is underwhelming so far.
I hope he's not talking about the podcast.
I think he's talking about offseason here. Brian J. there saying, best of the best, TJ and the grumpy old man. No shame in their hair game because they don't got any. Sponsored by Road Game, fixing all Islanders fans' hair since 1990.
Very good.
I was about to say that's true. Hey, if they're willing to do that, I'm down for it.
You know how you can tell I need a haircut? When people start saying that it looks like I have hair. And it's like, oh, my hair's too long. I got to get it cut.
Brian J. said, did Lou have an extended nap? I think he's up to things. He's making things happen here. I will tell you this, though. I hate how fans, now that we have Lou Lamoriello here, say, this is awesome, guys. This is just Lou's mastermind plan. He waits for all the dust to settle, and he's over there. He's just with his, pistol there, sharp shooting everything that's laying around there, and he's coming home with huge wins because he's waiting for all the dust to settle. No. I believe as all the mad scrambles going around, you could find those deals. You don't have to wait until everything's settled. Then you're kind of, left in a position where you're not going to have as much variety and you don't have as much leveraging power over some of those players. I don't know. I'm not a big believer in wait. I'd rather be proactive.
I just look at a guy like Alex Edler, who is 35 years old, but's been really, really good for Vancouver for a lot of years. He signed a 1-year contract worth $3.5 million. Why could we not have been proactive and try to get him?
Alex Edler?
Yes. He's a very good defenseman, and he's absolutely fits in perfectly with this group.
Think about how some of these defensemen sign on cheap. Keith Yandle, again, Keith Yandle doesn't fit here. Keith Yandle is not somebody we should have signed, but I'm using him as an example. Most teams in the league like these offensive style defensemen, guys who can headman the puck, guys who can skate well, guys who have offensive acumen. Keith Yandle is one of those guys. What did he sign for 1 year, $900,000?
Yep, and he wasn't a fit here, but Alex Edler would have fit here on a 1 year, $3.5 million for a left-handed defenseman to play with no adoption. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that's actually a good move. That would have been a good move. But now there's no one left. Ryan Murray is the only one left. I mean, there are no other left-handed defensemen who could step in and play now.
And thing is, we need a guy to play top 4 minutes, in that role. Or ideally, you'd like a guy to play top 4 minutes. That being said, you're looking at Ryan Murray, or you're going to have to trade for a defenseman. You're going to have to give up more capital. You're going to have to give up something to fill that role. Unless they say there's really 3 options: Ryan Murray, trade for outside defenseman, or promote from within. As much as I like our young defensive prospects,
they're not going to play.
I'd like to slowly ease them in there, and I think there's no way that Lou's going to play one of those, or I'm sorry, Barry's going to play one of those young guys right off the bat.
Nope.
I mean, we saw it with Pelech. We saw it with the year Pelech came onto the scene and burst onto the scene. When Pelech became a bona fide top 4 defenseman, they started off the season with Lucas Spiza playing opening night. Just because Lucas Spiza was a veteran, he had more experience, whatever. I mean, he played the opening night over Pelech.
Learn from history. Learn from it.
Alexander is saying hello to everybody, including TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day, except Xavier Howard. I hope you're having a horrible day. He's trying to hold out, right, Grumpy?
He wants to be traded from Miami. Can you blame him? He's in a state where he's second-class citizen in that state. They got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, world champions, Super Bowl champions.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Probably afraid that he had to play Tom Brady this year and get lit up.
Paul D saying Braden Point and Dougie Hamilton hit the lottery today.
I think Dougie Hamilton really did. $9 million per 7 years.
For a guy that's an issue in the locker room.
Yeah, for New Jersey. New Jersey has improved, though. Now, are they going to challenge us next year? I don't believe so. But they're a team that's improved. I mean, look at the Rangers. They've improved. Look at the Flyers. They've improved.
You and I disagree on the Flyers, but okay.
I hate I hate the Flyers, but you can't say they've improved on the things they were not good at. And that's what you need to do. They went out and they made some Chuck Fletcher has done a good job this offseason. They identified their weaknesses and they went out to fix them. I mean, you can't stand still. If you stand still, you're getting passed. Sorry. Braden Point, I love that deal. I think that's a great deal for Tampa Bay. Great.
I do want to ask you something here. You kind of went on and on there a little bit. I want to talk about the teams, though, in our division, right? And we talk about what are you doing to make your team better? Because even though you're getting to the semifinals every year, you have to do something to continue to make yourself better. Look at the teams around us. I think, the Devils have tried to make themselves better. I think a lot of teams in our division have done whatever they believe is correct to try to make themselves better, except Buffalo. They're obviously trying to make themselves as bad as humanly possible, trying to tank.
Buffalo's not in our division next year, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're last year. I'm sorry. Buffalo no longer in our division. But, a lot of these teams here in our division have made a point there to improve for the now. And when I see the Islanders saying, we're just going to roll out the same exact team we have out there, possibly, again, I still think we're in on Tarasenko. I still think that's the way. But if we were to go roll into this next year without a Tarasenko or a big piece, I think standing pat and saying us adding back Anders Lee from injury will solve all of our problems and we will now win the Stanley Cup. I would hate to look back on this and have any remiss by saying if we made a push or a little bolder and got that, a little bit more bold and we got that last piece on the offensive side of the puck, that would have put us over the top. I'd hate that because we are close.
I agree with Darren Pang. Playing us is tough. We're a tough out. But at the end of the day, we're not good enough to beat the really good teams. And that's just a fact. There's nothing wrong with that. But as a GM, you should want to add more. What are you missing? What is this team missing? The same thing has been missing since they've come into this organization. Same thing. And they know it. Scoring. Bona fide scorer. But every year, we do nothing to rectify that problem. I mean, it just is what it is. Here's the thing. I said, I'm not surprised. I predicted it. I predicted it last year. I predicted it the year before. I would love for them to prove me wrong. If they get Tarasenko, I'll say again, is the only thing that can save this offseason. Let me tell you something. There's a legitimate shot next year that we don't even make the playoffs. There's a real, I mean, I know that's a hot take.
Oh yeah, it's a freaking magma hot take. That's right. Come on.
It's 82 game season with the majority. We're going to be the oldest team in the league next year.
Is Washington still going to be older than us, or are they going to be younger technically?
They wound up getting Vanacek back, or Vitek back, I'm sorry, for a second round pick today. I mean, Ovechkin signed a 5-year extension, $9.5 per year.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Holy crap. You want to talk about overpaying with the term. Jesus, I get it. You know, he's a Hall of Famer, legend. 5 more years for Ovechkin. Yikes.
He still scores 40 goals a year.
I'm sorry.
He still scores 40 goals a year.
Don't agree with you.
I mean, I think
father time catches everybody. And,
yeah.
3 years into that contract, I don't think he's going to be scoring 40 goals a year. 4 years in that contract, he might be scoring maybe 20. And in 5 years in that contract, if that guy's not scoring 40 plus goals a year, his lack of defense and his lack of effort there on some, in the two-way game isn't worth him being out there on the ice all that often.
Yeah, he doesn't play like that anymore. And Barry Trotz helped him with that, without a doubt. He helped turn Ovechkin into a better hockey player. He absolutely did.
Alexander saying Lou needs to go, and then Brian Jail saying Lou does need to go. I disagree with that.
My whole thing is he needs to change his thinking a little bit. I mean, maybe if he's not capable of it, he does need to go. But I mean, I feel that he needs to just change his thinking a little bit. You know what the problems are. Change them. Don't just keep on. It's like a guy who's got like a pair of deuces, and I'm just going to keep on upping that bet and upping that bet. When you got a guy over there who's got like a flush, it's like, dude, it's not working. Stop doubling down on something that's not working. Change it. Change it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Michael M says Lou does need to go straight to St. Louis to get Tarasenko. I agree with that. He does need to go get Tarasenko. That's the biggest portion. I think if you believe Tarasenko's his shoulder is healthy and that he can contribute, that is a huge marketable upgrade over Eberle. And Kyle Palmieri is an upgrade, different style player, an upgrade there over Bailey. And again, Palmieri is an upgrade over whoever we are throwing out there, depending on the time of the year at left wing. That is upgrading 3 positions. 3 forwards, in my opinion.
Well, here's the thing. He is a true sniper, number 1 first line right wing. I never felt that Jordan Eberle was. I thought he was a top 6 guy, but I thought he was much better as a second line right wing, honestly. Bailey brings more versatility. He's nowhere near as good an offensive player, but he does other things just as well as Eberle did. Eberle had chemistry with Matt Barzal. To me, Tarasenko would be a gift from the gods if we can get him. That elevates our first line. Anders Lee coming back does not elevate the first line. It's the same line as it was last year. Same line.
I would rather make a bold move like that and fail rather than staying put and getting so close every year. There's nothing that pisses me off more than getting right to where you're at the pinnacle. And you could have said, oh, shit, if we had Anders Lee healthy, we could have done that. Or, hey, if you would have added a first-line left winger at the trade deadline, maybe we could have done that. I know maybe that's what they originally wanted Palmieri to do. He didn't do it. But maybe if we added a first-line left winger at the trade deadline to play top 6 minutes there and could have actually scored on the first line and helped out in the power play, we would have been in a better situation. You know, I hate that feeling. I hate it. I know. I'm sure Lou Lamoriello hates that feeling too. Quick aside here, Grump. I wanted to show you this. Here's again, Atu. I just want to show you here this goal. This is in that summer showcase here. Easy individual skate, and I just want you to look at this release. Right in the toy department there, Grump. I know this is not excellent film and footage there, but just did want to go ahead and show you that. Again, 4 goals, 4 assists so far in the summer showcase for him.
So what? Is there a possibility he might play for the team 5 or 6 years from now?
God, stop. I'm just saying, when you say things like people are rating us average grades,
I'm
looking at how this is playing already.
You're totally misrepresenting my point again, as usual.
No. I'm just saying that the fact that individuals are saying this was an average draft for us, not you, but other pundits, other individuals who get paid to do that for a living. I just am not buying it. That's all.
That's fine. And I can't wait till we talk next Wednesday with the draft guy.
I'm gonna let you know, Will Scouching, he's a big fan of Onto. So
Okay.
you don't have to worry too much about that. Moving right along there, Michael O'Donnell said, "Tune in tonight, gents. Glad to be here."
Love it, Michael. Love you, baby.
Rich Kingston says, Lou doesn't announce his signings till day 2. Well, I don't mind that he hasn't announced any signings. I think those guys are signed. I'll just be very interested to see what the price was they signed for and how long the deal was. That determines whether it's a good signing or a poor signing.
I guarantee you, when Brush goes to bed tonight, he's going to be saying, "Lou, you're the best. I love you, Lou. You're the savior of the franchise." I know. Brush is one of those guys. He is all Islanders all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Alexander says, my uncle says that this team has got a chance to win a cup. The team does have a chance to win a cup, especially if we add Tarasenko. I'd say that, hey, we're one of the favorites to win the cup. Right now, so yeah, we've got a chance. We've got an outside chance, just like I think we've had an outside chance the last 2 years.
Yes, we do have a chance to win the coffee cup. That's about it.
The coffee cup there. Coach
So, I just want to tell
there, TJ and Grumpy. What's up, Tommy B?
I just want to tell who was it before who said that's right, Alexander's uncle. Stop smoking the rock. Put the pipe down, brother.
Brian J said, I heard Dennis Poffin is going to come play forward there with Radek Marknek.
I love Denny Potvin. Man, I love him. He was shit. I'm telling you, he was one of my favorite players of all time. Oh my God, he was so good. What a two-way defenseman. Just fantastic. One of the greatest defensemen of all time. All time, man. Top 5 all time.
Jazz F there saying, in Lou I trust. Yeah, he's
There are
done
a lot of
well
people
so
like
far.
that.
He's done well as to right now. We've seen this far in the offseason. Given with the contracts maybe he handed out today, once we see what those are tomorrow or the next day, we could be singing a different tune. But as of right now, we're going to reserve judgment. As long as those are good contracts, hey, man, I'm all down for it. Still gives us room to go ahead and get Tarasenko.
That's the whole thing. We have to improve the first line wing position. If you don't, like I said, it's just a shampoo off season. Wash, rinse, repeat. That's all it is.
Coach Tommy B there saying a lot of horrible contracts handed out today.
And according to Brush, tomorrow when the Islanders give out, there'll be some horrible ones tomorrow too.
Oh, stop.
Oh, that was just too easy. That's too easy.
Grant H there saying, not happy with what's going on right now. Grumpy, you're right. Palmieri and Parise are going to be our big signings. Praying Lou has something up his sleeve. Love your show. You guys are awesome. Thanks for watching, Grant. Grump, I'll let
Thank you so much, Grant. And I'm just going to say, I'm hoping too. I tell you, I want Tarasenko on this team so bad. You want to put, and I realize people are going to go because it's a new stadium, but man, you want to put butts in the seats. You get a guy like him who's capable of scoring 40 goals playing with Matt Barzal. Tell me that wouldn't improve our team drastically with a guy who could put the puck in the net on a consistent basis.
Well, imagine us having a guy who's a true sniper like Tarasenko out there on the ice, your true playmaker like Matt Barzal, and you've got a bona fide power forward there in Anders, as you call him, average Anders. You got Captain Anders Lee over there. Again, a guy who can win the pucks down low, a guy who's going to get in front of the goalie, who's going to cause, mayhem and mischief. And you got Matt Barzal able to go ahead and create space there with his skates. And then when you got a chance there for Tarasenko to have that open space, he's able to launch and pick the spot, and he's able to score. Or he's able to put a puck on that where he can redirect it, and Anders Lee can go ahead and get one of those, garbage goals, as people call them, but he can redirect the goal in the net. Rebounds.
He'd be there for rebounds then.
That too.
Tarasenko puts the puck on net in danger chances. And, Anders Lee, like I said, the one thing he does extremely well is he can stand in front of the net and he can poke in rebounds. He can deflect pucks. Now to me, I still don't feel he's a perfect fit for Matt Barzal. But when you have Tarasenko on that line, it makes him a better fit, if you kind of know what I mean, with his skill set. When you got Tarasenko, who's unconscious, he's just going to shoot the puck all the time. And you need guys like that. I'm sorry.
And the thing is, like, when we have guys like that, that's why people love Oliver Wahlstrom so much, because in his limited time out there, even though you can tell he's young, he's raw, he can use room for improvement. He's a guy who fights out their heart, and he throws the puck towards the net. He does not see a shot that he does not want to take, and that's why you see him scoring goals. Or you're like, oh, what a fluky goal! I can't believe, because he throws the puck at every damn opportunity he gets. He throws the puck towards the net. Brandon Gaines there saying nothing's even been announced yet. Nothing from the Islanders or the Blues talking about Tarasenko. That's what I'm saying. I think Tarasenko is going to probably be involved. I hope he's going to be involved there with the trade.
I hope so.
And then David D there laughing at the grumpy old man. He said, "Are you ever happy, grumpy old man?"
Yes, often.
Moving right along there. Roman L there saying, Parise and Palmieri, not bad, but I really wanted Tarasenko. They better not sign those guys for many years and a lot of cash.
Roman Legion. I don't think that's his real name, but it should be like a wrestler name or something. Roman Legion.
I think like Romans, like they fought in legions, didn't they? Like the pharynx or pharynx, and that was like a legion was how they fought. I don't know.
Yes, the Roman Legion. Yes, that's my point.
Okay.
I don't think it's a real. Okay. Yeah.
Michael N there saying, I have a strong feeling Lou Lamoriello or Tom Lou.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Lou. I'm sorry, the abbreviation. Tomorrow, Lou is still after Tarasenko, and that's why things are being held up. Last year, he dropped signings after 4 p.m. So again, thinking we're in. Well, he's still thinking that we're still in there. I think we're still heavily in on Tarasenko. I think we're the favorites to get Tarasenko too.
I want him on this team. Now, would you be willing to give up Bavillier and Bellows and Bailey?
Okay, well, then you got a big old gaping hole at the left wing spot, and now you got Palmieri on a second line of the left wing, so probably not.
No, that's okay. You just bring Leo Komarov. He can play. If he can play first line left wing, he certainly can play second line left wing.
Stop. Oh, my goodness, you're killing me. I don't think the price is going to be very expensive on him. He wants out. He's had 3 shoulder surgeries in a row. I'd like to think that that's going to be, a Bailey for Tarasenko, I think would be relatively close to what's needed to get it done. Maybe we might have to give a little bit more, but he's a guy who's out of favor with his team, has had 3 shoulder surgeries in a row. I want to say the value on him or the trade value is really low for what his talent is. As
much as I like Keeper Bellows, I'd be willing to throw him in that deal.
Yeah, for certain. I'm the same exact way. Moving right along there. Tommy B said, wrong. Palmieri replaced Eberle. Parise is replacing Dal Cole / Komarov. Okay. Would you tell me, are you happy with Palmieri playing on the first line? Absolutely not. I'm not. And Palmieri is with our team for the last 10-plus games of the year.
15.
The entire postseason. The last 15 games of the year. And what was it? What did he play? 17, 16 games in the playoffs?
Yeah.
He was there for some odd games.
He wasn't good enough to play on the first line last year. I mean, if he was the better player, he would have played on the side with Barzal. It didn't work out. Eberle was a better player. And here's the thing. Palmieri is not replacing Eberle. Palmieri's already on the team. Parise is, in effect, replacing Eberle. I'm not saying they play the same position. I'm saying the fact that Eberle's gone, Parise has signed. Palmieri was already on the team.
Nick D said, Grumpy's right. Basically, we traded Eberle for a pensioner. Unreal.
True.
Scott L there saying, this is the frustrating part for the fans. We see other teams signing players, good or bad, and they're trying to improve. Lou sits there and does nothing every free agency year. Then he has to pick from the bottom of the barrel of players because all the top free agents are gone. I think he's doing something this year. If we're going to sign a top free agent, no, I don't think that's the case. I wonder what we're going to do with the left. I wonder what we're going to do with the left-handed defensive spot. I am kind of curious what the plan is with that. I think we're heavily in on Tarasenko. I think that has been always number one priority for us. Again, we've seen a lot of number one priorities for us fall through.
Every number one priority for us fall through. Maybe Lou had too much Metamucil today, so he couldn't get off the bowl to make the appropriate calls. I don't know.
Stop. But okay, come on. All of them are pretty close.
I will say that, but he's spot on. It's every year. It's the bargain basement. When was the last time the Islanders were anything but a bargain basement shopper? I mean, they've always been that.
And this is what shocks me here now. I would like to think that has changed because of the way the Islanders' image is. Number one, we're competitors. We're a legitimate franchise now. We've got the best brand spanking new stadium and arena out there in all of hockey. And you're playing for a competitor, you're playing for a Hall of Fame caliber coach, and you're playing for a team that, is going to be in the playoffs on a year in, year out basis. Most times players will take a discount perhaps in order to go play for a team like that. Players who are looking to compete, players who are looking to win a cup do that. So, you figure we should be able to get players of high value there on a little bit of a discount.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to ask you this question again. If you're a player who's a goal scorer and you are, your game is predicated on offense, because offense is that's what pays. Would you sign with the Islanders or somebody else when our game is not predicated on playing offense? It's about playing defense all the time.
Depends on what I'm trying to do. If I'm looking to score more goals, try to go ahead, because we've talked about it before, goals and points get you paid. If I'm looking to continue to get myself paid, I'm not signing with the Islanders. But if I'm in a situation where I'm a little older, or I'm past my peak, or I'm going to say, seriously, like a Parise, there's no way in hell Parise should not be taking a discount to come here. There's no way in hell Kyle Palmieri shouldn't be taking a discount, and there's no way in hell Casey Cizikas shouldn't be taking a discount. All those players should be taking a massive discount here for the Islanders.
The Islanders have overpaid for every one of their free agents since the beginning of time. It's the only way to keep them on the team is to overpay for them. No one on this team has ever taken a hometown discount. Not one player on this team. I'm sorry.
You'd like to think with the amenities and the team that we have currently structured and the chance that we can compete with the cup, that thought process might change. That's what I'm hopeful of. Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe they're going to oversign players. I hope they don't, but maybe I'll be wrong, and I'll be very unfortunate there because if you're oversigning or overpaying for your players to keep them here, yikes. Then I can tell you one thing: we'll never, ever, ever have that issue solved. And we'll never be a team that is ever going to attract a big name free agent. I cannot remember, or I can remember 2 years ago when Panarin, they came out with the tweet, Panarin has signed with the Islanders. I was like, holy crap, we did it. The Islanders are finally, we got Barry Trotz, we've got Lou Lamoriello. Now we finally are taking next steps. Panarin is signed with the Islanders, and nope, they said, hold on.
I'm going to take less money. I'm going to take less money to go play for the Rangers. Like I said,
he always wanted to play for the Rangers. I think
Erik Haula is the same player as Casey Cizikas, maybe a little bit better.
I know that's going to upset a lot of fans because a lot of fans love.
I don't care. Look at the numbers. Erik Haula is a really good two-way center. Can play the third line. Has played the third line. Scored 29 goals one year. Okay. But here's the thing. 2 years, $4.75 million for 2 years. Okay? If Casey Cizikas signs for anything more than that, it was a mistake by Lou Lamoriello not to go after Erik Haula. That's all I'm saying. And that's the whole thing. Lou should say like this, okay, this is the budget. This is what I'm going to do. Casey, you're no more than $3 million tops. This is the offer. And if he says, well, I'm going to go somewhere else, bye, see you later. Don't get away from your plan. But if you keep on, well, Casey, we need Casey. All right, I'll give you another $1 million a year. I'll give you another couple of years. No. You should know the value of your players at their age and what they bring. You see them every day. Casey Cizikas is not the greatest. I laugh. And you even heard on NHL Network today, like, well, gosh, he's the identity, the fourth line. I'm like, dude, he's a fourth line freaking player who plays 10 minutes a game, 12 minutes a game. He's not that valuable.
He plays more than 10 or 12 minutes a game. Come on.
But that's what he plays. That's what he plays.
Casey plays 13 minutes and 50 seconds. Year before that, about 14 minutes a game. He's roughly about 13 minutes, 30 seconds a game, 14 minutes a game guy. He's a guy who's a good special teams player. He's a guy who's a blood and guts player. Yeah, again, he's not playing.
They're a dime a dozen. Erik Haula played more minutes, put up better numbers, and does the same things, and he's going to cost half as much. To me, that's dumb. That's dumb asset management. Just dumb. And but here's the thing. I'm just going to wait to see what he signs for. But I'll be surprised if it's anything less than $4 million a year for a 30-year-old fourth line center. Oh boy, that's a good move.
Michael T saying Wallstrom is going to be permanent on the big club, as he should. I'm happy about that. Oliver Wallstrom needs to be up there for the Islanders, playing night in, night out. That's a kid you're excited about who can really take a step forward this year.
Yes, I agree.
Angela and Nina, they're saying, sorry, Grumpy, I didn't believe it, but you were right. Here we go again. All the young studs are gone, and Lou signs the old washed-up guys.
Shampoo Lou.
Yeah, God almighty.
Wash, rinse, repeat.
Okay, we don't. Hey, here's the thing, right? You could be singing a completely different tune if by this Saturday we've got Tarasenko and didn't have to give up all that much. You will be singing a completely different tune. That's all I'm going to say.
I want to be singing a different tune. I want to be wrong. Please, Lou, prove me wrong. I know it's hard because I'm all knowing, but please, please prove me wrong.
Mario said that general manager of the year twice over is not known for making the types of trades people expect. He's a tinker. Perhaps the last big fish he brought in was Scott Stevens, and that was because an arbitrator awarded Stevens to the Devils after the Blues signed Shanahan.
True. That was the best. That was the best move ever that he made, was getting Scott Stevens in essence for Brendan Shanahan. That was a great move. And here's the thing, Lou, let me tell you something. Lou was an excellent GM. Okay. That's like almost 25, 30 years ago, 25 years ago. Okay. Think about it. That was won the first cup in what, 95? I mean, I forget the year. And the last one in 2003, that's a long time ago.
A long time ago, Grumpy. David D, they're saying, I want Tarasenko. Option for defense is Edler, who's been taken there, or Eric Gustafsson.
Yeah, I don't know if Gustafsson fits in, but Edler would have fit here. Edler would have fit.
Okay, I would tell you one thing, though. Let's be honest. Edler was not leaving Vancouver. He's played his entire career in Vancouver, right? Oh, did he leave Vancouver once on a short stint?
Yes, he left. That's my point.
Yeah, West. Was he still with the team out West when he left? I remember he left originally. Edler left and he came back. Man, oh man, Alexander Edler's a guy I feel like who's been around in the league forever. I remember those old days where he was out there playing in those tough series when he was one of those heralded defensemen playing in those tough series against the Chicago Blackhawks. Man, oh man, what a time.
He went to Los Angeles. Los Angeles has quietly made some good moves this offseason, and they have the best prospects in the NHL.
I'm sorry, Edler's never left. I'm looking here at Edler. Edler's never left. Maybe it's Ehrhoff. Christian Ehrhoff left to Los Angeles. Alexander Edler never left. Christian Ehrhoff. Man, oh man, it's been a while ago.
Alex, listen to me. Alex Edler signed with the Los Angeles Kings today, 1 year, $3.5 million.
Okay, sorry, he signed with the Kings today, but he's still out west. What would make you think he'd want to leave out west?
I don't know. Did you even kick the tires on him? That's my point. I don't. Here's the thing. I don't feel he even kicked the tires on him. He has his guys, and that's it. I mean, I don't know. There's not many left from New Jersey anymore when he was there, is there? What else they got left?
Bruce Kingston there says Hoffman, $4.5 million a year. LOL, overpaid.
Without a doubt, total agreement. I didn't want him anyway. He didn't fit here. I know a lot of people. Get Hoffman for the power play. Well, it's not like you can sit him the rest of the game until we get on the power play. That's a massive overpayment for him.
Yeah, and again, Mike Hoffman's a guy. Well, I think
he scores goals though. He scores goals. He's like Anders Lee.
Okay, and again, he does have apparently more of a checkered past than Anders Lee does, and he doesn't bring enough on that side. But this is a guy where consistently, I know last year he didn't have 20 goals, but he had before that. He had 6 seasons in a row with 20-plus goals. And again, last year he didn't with the shortened season, played 52 games, had 17 goals. But this is a guy who's a consistent 20-plus a year goal scorer. So, by this, and again, he does have a little bit of a checkered past, but that would be to say, like, if Kyle Palmieri makes $4.5 million, that's definitely an overpay. But I just feel like if Kyle Palmieri makes $4.5 million, you're going to have certain fans here that say that's an excellent signing. Glad he brings XYZ to the table. When a guy like Hoffman, who brings more point production into the table, going to play more of, your bona fide top 6 role, is going to get paid $4.5 million. I'm not saying it's a good deal by Hoffman. It's the same reason why I think if Palmieri makes $4.5 million, that's not a good deal either.
Yeah, neither one's a good deal. Hoffman, I don't think his thing. Hoffman is probably a better offensive player than Palmieri. He'll score more goals, but that's all he does is score goals. Okay, and you need somebody who can score goals. But I've never been a fan of Hoffman. I mean, he came off making $3 million last year with St. Louis, and somehow he parlayed that into, I think it was a 4-year deal, which I was really surprised. Like I said, some guys, I'm like, how are these guys getting this much? And then you see other guys getting virtually nothing, and it's like, I mean, you look at what he gets 4.5, and Landeskog gets 7. I mean, I know I come off the hip for the extra 2.5.
I think it was a 3-year deal, $4.5 million per.
Still way too much. Way too much money.
Okay. Yeah. But then Michael N there said, last time I checked, Tarasenko was the favorite between the Islanders and the Devils. Yep. And originally it was, the Flyers were rumored there to be heavy then on them, but it looks like just between the Devils and the Islanders. And if I'm putting our money up against the Devils, I think we're going to be victorious there in that trade war.
I don't know. I feel less confident every day.
Why is that?
Because I do. I don't know. I don't get the warm and fuzzies. That trade should have already been done. That trade should have been signed, sealed, and delivered weeks ago.
Play devil's advocate. Let's say he's negotiating a deal to where, we're on the verge, but he's staying strong, saying, nope, I think you're going to cave, and this is what I believe. We're going to give up XYZ. We're going to trade Josh Bailey and, let's just say Josh Bailey as a whole in order for Tarasenko. And they want, a Kiefer Bellows, they want an extra additional piece, and he's standing hold there and he's saying, nope, I think this is what needs to get done.
You know what I would tell him, Lou? Pretend like you're dealing with Casey Zizekas or Kyle Palmieri or Zach Parise, or any of the old ham and eggers that you've signed, the Leo Komarovs signing a 4-year deal for $3 million per for a guy who's finished. Just give him the extra. I don't care. This is a guy who actually has ability to separate us potentially from other teams. That's what he does. And it's like he's afraid. I'm afraid to pull the trigger. What? Hey, hold on. Who's up for contract next year? Is it Scott Stevens? Is it Ken Danico? I don't know. Maybe Chico Resch. I don't know who I got to sign back. Chris Terreri, whoever, he was an old goalie from the olden days. We got to make sure we sign these guys back. That's a guy he's a game changer. He's a guy who moves the needle. That's what we need. Leads do it.
Roman L there saying Wally should be on the top line. He's got the talent, that's for sure. He's definitely going to be up in the lineup. I wouldn't mind seeing. If you bring in a guy like Tarasenko, I have no issue at all with you starting off Wallstrom there on the third line. None at all, because I think Jean-Gabriel Pageau is not your typical third-line center. He's a guy who's got offensive touch, so still Wallstrom's going to be able to be offensively creative and get in those situations where he could still go ahead, and experience a little bit more of what it is to attack in the offensive zone instead of playing, like a fourth-line checker like we ruined, Niederreiter here.
Agreed.
Right along there. Michael T said, Grumpy, you should be happy. This means the young players are going to get their shot.
I don't understand that type of mentality at all, Michael T. What makes you say that? We're signing old guys. He's not signing them to sit on the bench and play the young guys. That much I can guarantee you.
I wish we went in with the mindset of we're bringing in Parise, but we want to make sure Parise's got legs, right? You heard even there, Parise didn't like that his role was being limited there in Minnesota. So when he's coming here, you assume he's already got the expectation. I'm a third line guy. You should also have the expectation of Zach. You're 37 years old as a left winger there. You're going to be playing an 82 game series. We're going to have 19 different games. 19 games? 19 different times. We're going to be 3 games in 4 days, right?
Yes.
Well, it doesn't add up.
Oh, no, 11. Maybe it's 11.
It doesn't add up still. Maybe it's got to be 12. 3 games in 4 days.
I think it's 11. 11 times we have 3 games in 4 days. 19 back-to-backs and 11 games where we play 3 and 4.
Okay. That's gonna be draining on a player, especially if you're 37 years old. Again, you're a top athlete. I'm sure you're well conditioned, but father time always wins. And you should come in with the expectation of you're going to play the lion's share. We're going to give Kiefer Bellows also some time because we want, again, if he's not included in a trade, that is, we're going to give Kiefer Bellows some time because he one day is going to be a guy who's going to be playing up for our team. So we'll see how it goes. We're just going to continue to monitor it. I think we're going to have more news there tomorrow. Joe A said, is Tarasenko still in play? In what we do, and what do we have to do to give him up, or to give.
Okay,
I'm illiterate. To get what
is Tarasenko still in play? And what do we have to give up to get him? Bellows, draft pick. I think it would be, like I said, it would almost have to be Bailey. It's got to be Bailey, so he would have somewhere to play in the lineup first of all.
And it's a little bit of cap relief on our side too.
Right, and then if they said I'll throw in Bellows, I'm absolutely willing to do that. I'm certainly willing to do that because Bellows is never going to play here. He's the new Josh Hosang, never going to get a shot. He could score 50 goals in 5 games, and that kid would still find his way to the bench.
We're going to have interesting conversations, I'm sure, about Kiefer Bellows there with Coach Tommy B. Again, we got a lineup coming up this offseason here. We'll be reaching out. We're going to be publishing that. I know this next Wednesday, Will Scout, he's going to be breaking down the Islanders draft. That's a can't miss.
Next Wednesday.
That's what I said, next Wednesday.
Okay.
Roman L also said, if you ask me, Parise is better than Eberle.
We weren't asking you.
Come on, be nice.
Okay, there's no way Zach Parise is better than Jordan Eberle at this stage of his career. It's just not true. It's not true. It's not true. He's basically a depth guy. He's a depth guy who will get elevated on this team because he knows the GM. I mean, that's it. It's daddy ball. It's like daddy ball here.
Stop. Brian P said, we never add offense.
True.
Paul D said, Hamilton, $9 million, 7 years. Yeah, I thought that was
too much. I thought that was too much. Way too much.
Eli said, I'm so glad we didn't get the old bums like Parise, who's already 36.
He actually turned 37 today, so he's not 36. He's 37. And it looks like, sorry, Eli, that's exactly who we're getting. Old bums like Parise.
He just turned 37?
Today, I believe.
Oh, well, happy birthday, Mr. Zach Parise. Yeah, it is. Happy birthday. Good. It'll be kind of 37-year-old left winger. Maybe we can go ahead and elevate his ice time this year. But moving right along there.
You know what? Between he and Andy Green, the two ex-Devils, they're ready for Social Security.
Oh, goodness.
They're in Social Security age.
Leo Komarov, the first line sniper.
The only good thing about signing Zach Parise is that I don't have to see Leo Komarov play on a regular basis. That's the only advantage.
Coach Tommy B also said Coleman there got 6 years, $30 million.
Think about that, right? Think about that. Now, he played third line, $5 million a year. It's like a Josh Bailey deal. I think he's just as good as Josh Bailey, probably better, but just as good. What do you think? What do you think Casey Cizikas is going to get? What do you think Kyle Palmieri is going to get? Kyle Palmieri's a third line guy, right? You think he's going to get less than $5 million per? What would you say, TJ, if it's 6 years for 30 for Kyle Palmieri? That's a very real possibility.
Awful. That's another one of those deals where you get caught thinking to yourself, I'm like, 6 years, 30 million, $5 million a year. Another time you're gonna lock a guy up there to who's 36 years old. That's how you get yourself in this perpetual issue to where you're gonna have these awful contracts you have to worry about offloading to sign players and to keep afloat. So every single offseason you have to do financial gymnastics in order to keep your team intact in some capacity. 6-year deal? There's no way he's getting that. I'm not even going to entertain it. I can't fathom that.
But you do realize we do this year after year after year. Every single year, we sign a guy in his 30s to long-term deal. Matt Martin is an example, 32 years old, 4-year contract for a fourth wing grinder. Think about it. I know the money was, only 1.5, but still 4 years. What was the market for Matt Martin? What's the market for Zach Parise? What if Zach Parise gets 3 years? Maybe we'll have half our team will be over 40 by the time it's all said and done. That'd be great.
I will also agree here by saying that Matt Martin he played more than what he was paid this last year.
He wasn't that good this year. He wasn't that good.
He's getting paid 1.5. What do you
it's too much for a guy who can't hardly play anymore. Okay. 1 out of 5 games, that fourth line played 1 out of 5 games. That was a good game. If your identity is to be a crappy team, that's your identity line right there.
Oh,
all fourth line sucks. We were the best fourth line in hockey 10 years ago. We were the best fourth line. Don Cherry's been off the air for how many years? Right? He's the one who said it, what, 7, 8 years ago? Best fourth line in hockey 8 years ago.
We're still a really
that's
good.
a long freaking time.
We're still a really good fourth line. We're not a bad fourth line. It's not like they only play one good game for every 5 they play. Come on.
It's probably 1 out of 6. I was just being generous.
Paul D said Linus Ullman there, $5 million.
What is Boston doing? 4 years. I thought it was 4-4. Maybe it was 4-5. Why would they give Ullman a $5 million a year contract? You have Swayman.
Oh, Ullmark. Sorry, Linus Ullmark. Not Ullman. Linus
The goalie, right?
Yeah, Linus Ullmark.
Okay. I don't know what Boston's doing. Is Tuukka Rask not coming back? I know they're saying that potentially he wouldn't be ready until January, but man, 4 years for somebody like that, it makes me think. You got Swayman there. I know that Halak signed with I think he signed with Vancouver. So I mean, I know they need another goalie, but 4 years, $5 million per, man, that's a lot of money for a backup goalie in essence, don't you think?
Halak did sign there with Vancouver. He's got a chance there at 1.5, I think, $1 million there for Halak. I will tell you, Ullmark, if they're signing him to that long of a deal, it means it answers the questions we had thought. Why was Jeremy Swayman not playing despite unbelievable performance last year in the A and in the NHL? Well, we found out why that is, and now they bring in Ullmark. It means they weren't comfortable just saying, "Hey, we're going to line up there with Swayman out there every night, and we're going to need a goalie." As the time period that Rask is out. I think Rask's time there is done.
Possible. He's 34 years old, and I mean, it's been kind of
hip labrum too. It's a torn hip labrum I'm thinking about.
Yeah, but Ullmark's actually, his numbers have been pretty good. His peripheral numbers, playing for a really bad Buffalo team. So we'll see. I was surprised at the term and length of that, but I wasn't thinking about Rask maybe not coming back. Who knows?
And then Roman L there saying, even if Tarasenko was available, what are we giving St. Louis? We have nothing to give them. It looks like Lou is done after this and is just going to re-sign the guys we have.
Well, obviously, you can move Josh Bailey. I mean, you didn't think he was good enough to protect. They didn't think he was good enough to protect against Vegas, and Vegas didn't think he was good enough to pick, and neither did the Kraken. So, maybe maybe the fan base here overrates Josh Bailey. All right.
No, you don't overrate Josh Bailey.
They had a chance to take Jordan Eberle or Josh Bailey, and it was Eberle all the way. And, you would figure for a player so smart and that Swiss Army knife that Josh Bailey is, he'd be somebody that an expansion team would love to have, being the great leader that he is. But they said, no, we don't want that guy. He's just a ham and egger, a perimeter Pete. But that's a guy I like I said, sometimes you have to move guys. And I hear people say, oh, well, it would have been terrible if we lost Josh Bailey just emotionally. Emotionally, I'm here to win a freaking Stanley Cup. I could give two shits if Josh Bailey is a good guy. I mean, he's not a good player. That's the whole thing. He's not he's an average, a below average player.
Oh my! I love how you do that when you start off. He's an average. I can agree. He's average to slightly above average, I think is probably an accurate way to put it. And then you change it. You say he's an average, like below average. And you go a little further on the edge. You start like average. Oh, well, sorry. I mean below average. It's almost like you forget yourself.
I didn't want people to think I was going soft on Josh Bailey. That's
Michael T there saying Parise is 99.9% an Islander. I do agree with that. He's definitely an Islander. No doubt about that.
He just can't skate anymore. He's just not the player he used to be. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but that doesn't mean that you have to bring him on your team just because, he eats, salami on rye or pastrami on rye with the general manager.
I thought you were about to say because he eats oatmeal and cinnamon in the mornings. Oatmeal, cinnamon. I don't know what old people eat. Prunes. William C. there saying, I have a bad feeling that Lou overpaid all our guys. We'll have the same lineup as next year, and I can't expect to go that. And you can't expect to go that far again. He also says, love the Beatles shirt, Grumpy. I'm a huge Beatles fan.
Who doesn't like the Beatles?
Mhm.
Who doesn't like the? How can you not like the Beatles?
Yeah, I was about to say.
They revolutionized pop music, right? Be honest. Elvis and the Beatles.
Elvis.
That's it. Everything else has been an offshoot ever since. Elvis, Beatles.
Mm-hmm. Moving right along there. This team is in serious trouble going into a new arena. I don't think we're in serious trouble.
We'll be in serious trouble in 2 years when we have nobody because we've traded all of our first-round picks. The ones that we do have, Simon Holmstrom, Casper. We're going to see the Philip Tomasinos, the Arthur Kalievs, the Connor McMichaels lighting up the NHL, and we're going to have Simon Holmstrom, probably a fourth liner. New $6 million man. He's going to be the new Josh Bailey. I know that. Go ahead, TJ. I'm sorry.
Just like clockwork.
Yep.
Can't manage to keep yourself off of the three amigos. Just like clockwork.
Sorry, had to do it.
And then we're moving right along there. And then Angela in there said, can't believe Grubauer went to the Kraken.
Money speaks, my friends.
Yes, it does.
Money can buy you love.
Michael T said, why would Dougie Hamilton want to go to New Jersey? WTF?
I'll give you 9 million reasons a year why.
Yep, all about the money.
I don't blame any athlete who goes for the money. Their earning potential and time is finite. I don't blame them at all. Not at all.
And then Eric there saying, I assume Zach Parise will play on the third line with Pajot and Wallstrom. Palmieri plays on Barzal's wing.
Boy, that blows your skirt up, doesn't it? That lineup. You got an anchor on the third line. Shit.
I think that's a hell of a third line. You don't have to expect Parise to do that much.
He can't skate anymore. He's like Leo Komarov 2.0.
No, he's not Leo Komarov 2.0. He skates better than Leo. Have you? Okay, please.
He doesn't play defense.
Leo out there. You ever see those kids when they're really, really young and they're skating and they've got like their stick, they're dragging it behind them as they're skating because they really don't understand the economy of movements. It's like that's an anchor behind them. No, that's how Leo skates. That's not how Parise skates.
Have you seen Zach Parise skate? Can't do it anymore. He and there's no crime in it. I mean, there's no crime in it. He's a blood and guts guy. And you know what? 10 years ago, he was fantastic. But guess what? It's not 2010 anymore. Just isn't. I'm sorry.
Brandon F. there says, here goes Grumpy complaining about everything. Can't please this guy.
Tell me what I should be pleased about. What moves has Lou Lamoriello done that is pleasing, that improves the team? Because right now you still don't have a second pairing left defenseman. Don't have one. Okay? You have your offense is the same as last year. Exactly the same. Maybe a little bit worse because Palmieri didn't have any chemistry with Barzal. So we don't even know about that. And you brought in a 37-year-old to play left wing. When you had a 23-year-old who's probably just as good, if not better, waiting in the wings, but we don't want to give him a shot.
Oh, wow. You're already putting that. I like Bellows. I'm not putting him as already better than Parise.
I said he might be better.
Okay.
He certainly has more upside than Zach Parise. I think everyone can agree on that.
Yes, for certain we do. Eli said, wait, I thought Parise was going to the Devils. My bad. I still don't like the signing if we actually did it, though.
Yes, he is going to the New York Devils.
Oh, gosh. The New York Lou Lamoriello Devils there.
Shampoo Lou Devils.
Scott L. says, Lou just sits there and waits to sign these bottom-of-the-barrel FAs and has to overpay for them. So they come here.
All I know is when you hear a bunch of finished, washed-up vets saying, yeah, we'd love to play for the Islanders. Man, that just sends the wrong message. I'm sorry.
Michael T. They're saying third line is going to be Parise, Pajot, Palmieri, the triple P line. And he says first line is going to be Lee, Barzal, and Wallstrom. I don't think there's any way he's going to put Wallstrom on the first line after a guy healthy scratched in favor of Travis Zajac last year. I think the maximum we're going to see. Think about this, right?
Think about that. Think about that. Think about that. Anyone who says the young guys are going to get a shot, think about that. Healthy scratch for Travis freaking washed up Zajac, 36-year-old Travis Zajac.
I seriously want to let you sink in. And people are going to try to find a way to explain that. Oh, well, he was out. He needed to come back in. This is the big one. Blah, blah, blah. You're going to see a lot of people try to explain and explain the reason why he was at healthy scratch. Long story short, Wahlstrom was a healthy scratch there on the third line to Travis Zajac last year. As much as I like Wahlstrom, I want to see him get top 6 minutes. There's no way that kid plays anything more than the third line right wing next year. No way.
Seriously, though, wouldn't you love to see? I'd love to trade Bailey, okay, get Tarasenko, put him on the first line, have Wahlstrom slide up to the second line. Then you got Kroc, Wahlstrom, and Beauvillier on your second line. I kind of like that line. And then your third line, you could put, the PP line.
The triple P, the PP line. I hope we sign Parise just for that reason. Parise,
they'll be the PP boy. They'll be like a guy who's got prostate issues, prostate peepees.
The PP line.
That's what happens in the middle of the night. You got to pee, pee don't come out because you got a enlarged prostate.
The PP line. Brandon Frey said, time for Grumpy to hang it up. I don't know. I didn't think Grumpy said anything crazy today. I think they're pretty much what most fans would agree and think about. Time for you to hang it up, though, Grump.
That's Brandon Frey Lamarillo.
Related to Chris it's Chris Lamarillo's burner account. Moving right along there, Alexander said, oh my gosh, they gave him an option of a 1, a 2, or a 3-year deal. Who the hell does that?
Who does that? Think about that. You're the guy with the hammer. You have a washed up player who's just lucky to get a chance to play, and you're giving him whatever you want. Whatever you want, you can have as long as you come here and put our third line in cement because you can't skate anymore. And I like Zach Parise. He's just not the same player. Just isn't.
E. Harley said, Grumpy's act is old, not funny, and wrong. This team has been everything we have prayed for.
What? So what are you praying for? A team that makes the playoffs and maybe can every once in a while push the envelope and maybe get to the semifinals? That's what you're praying for? I pray for a Stanley Cup. But you know what? E. Harley is like a lot of fans. They've been rooting for a loser for 20, 30 years. And now this is like, oh, this is great. This is great. We're not the worst team in the league anymore. I mean, and that's the way they look at it. That is exactly how they look at it. I pray for a team that actually can contend for a Stanley Cup. This team cannot contend for a Stanley Cup. I'm going to say it again. The team is currently constituted, will never win a Stanley Cup. Will not happen. Will not happen.
An hour and 52 minutes, and the Grumpy goes off the top rope. You know what? What's that old wrestling they had where they had a big cage where they throw that guy who used to wear the sock? They throw him through the cement, and he's spitting teeth out of his mouth.
First of all, Mick Foley, Mankind. I think he was Mankind at that time.
You just went ahead and threw whatever comment that was through the top cage there and smashed the individual there at the bottom. Man,
Mick Foley was thrown off a cage onto the Spanish announce table. And this was the Hell in the Cell. It wasn't the first Hell in the Cell match. It was the second one, but everybody thinks it was the first because it was the wildest. And then the Undertaker went and chokeslammed him through the cage. It wasn't supposed to break, but it did. And he had a tooth coming out of his nose. And he even said after the match, he went in the back. He's like, oh man, I didn't get to do the thumbtacks bit. That's where they threw thumbtacks on, where you get slammed thumbtacks. And he had a bunch of thumbtacks all on his back because he was so concussed he didn't realize that he did the thumbtack gig.
Dude,
that was good stuff back then, man.
You think about the mental health and like the concussion.
Let's not talk about mental health today, please. That's
okay. I don't want. Grumpy's about to be triggered. Michael M. there said, Lee, Barzal, Tarasenko, Beauvillier, Nelson, Wahlstrom, Parise, Pajot, Palmieri, the PP line.
Isn't that what I just said? Those lines. Those are kind of lots of line I'd like. That makes us competitive.
That's a contender.
Absolutely, it is.
Even a Wahlstrom, there's no way in hell he's going to play top 6 minutes just because he was captain healthy scratch last year in the playoffs, despite being one of the few guys who can perform offensively. I like the PP line. I want to go ahead. The PP line. It
gives you real legitimate scoring options on your first two lines. And even the third line. Because, Palmieri, if he realizes there's a contract on the line, can score goals in the playoffs. I don't know if he can in the regular season anymore. And Parise used to be able to score goals. And you know how much I like J.G. Pasha.
Jerry B saying, TJ, do you actually love DraftKings Sportsbook? And so do your friends and family? Or is that just in the script? I plead the fifth. That's all.
Do you think that TJ could speak eloquently about DraftKings unless he was reading off of something? I'm just going to ask that question. It's rhetorical.
Bruce Kingston says teams way overpaid for free agents today. Lou was the clear winner today.
He didn't do anything. If that makes you a winner, then Lou's a winner every day because he never does anything.
I think there were certain players that got really team-friendly deals. Not every player was overpaid for.
Most free agents get overpaid. That's just the nature of the beast. You know, I'm just going to say, Brush, pump the brakes just a little bit because you don't see what Palmieri, Parise, and Casey are signing for.
I was about to say we have no idea what yet they're going to sign for. Could sign for good deals. Could sign for hideous deals. I would. Man, I'm going to be really upset if Casey gets a huge deal. Could you imagine Casey with a 4-year deal or $4 million a year? Ooh.
I could see that very easily. You look at what the other guys. I mean, you got Zach, and I think Zach Hyman is a better. He's certainly a better player than Casey Zizekas.
For certain.
But look at how much he's getting paid. I mean, it's ridiculous what they're paying for bottom 6 guys. I'm just like, you know what? That's why you have young guys to fill in those roles.
I want you to think about Philip Grubauer. I know this is the real year he, blew up on the scene, but he signed a 6-year deal worth a little less than $6 million a year for a goalie like that. Think about how much we paid Varlamov to come here. Again, Varlamov was on a time period before he joined the Islanders where he was coming off a real struggle in Colorado. And, this is where he was getting beaten out by Grubauer for the job in Colorado.
Yeah. I
think there were some good deals. I think there were, some not so great deals. I think for the Oilers, what they're trying to do, Tyson Barrie's deal wasn't bad. I mean, that's a 3-year deal, about $5.1 million or whatever it is. I'm sorry, he's getting. I mean, Tyson Barrie. Yeah, what is it like? 4? What is it?
4.5. 4.5.
4.5 a year. I think for what they need, I mean, they desperately need help on the back end. That's a guy who kind of fits their style. I mean, there were a lot of bad deals. I think there were a few deals that are like, okay, that's not all that bad.
Yeah, I mean, you say Grubauer signed $6 million per, right? Think about it. He was a Vezina Trophy finalist. We signed Varlamov. We overpaid for Varlamov. I said it at the time, $5 million for a guy who's solid and lost his starting gig in Colorado to Grubauer. And I don't think Grubauer is really that much better of a goalie than Varlamov is. I think he's solid also. I don't think he's a star. But
remember the reason why we overpaid Varlamov was just to get Sorokin here. I honestly believe that.
You didn't have to. But the whole thing is he didn't have to. He didn't have to pay $5 million a year for 4 years. He didn't have to. His market was not there. Guys who have bad years don't have a huge market. They just don't. Frederik Andersen today. Frederik Andersen, right, who's been a really good goalie for Toronto, had a bad year last year. Carolina signs him 2 years, $9 million. I mean, I think that's a pretty good deal for them.
Yeah. Moving right along there, grumpy old man. We got a lot of comments here to go through. I'm sure I'm going to lose some comments, and if we do, I do apologize. Michael M. there says, never win the cup with Bailey in the top 6.
True.
And then Coach Simon B said, Lou will announce the signings when he's ready. I don't think I'm like antsy to see what he announces. I'm ready to see how much term and what the deal is, how much we're going to be giving him, because I'm willing to restrain myself until I see those. But if those are bad signings or we overpay for guys, yeah, I'm gonna be a little upset about that. I still am in the camp that we need to make a bold move by adding a legitimate sniper to the team. I think Tarasenko's out. I've been saying that for months, and I'm going to keep saying it.
Maybe he'll wait to make the decision until a week before training camp so people won't realize how much he paid them. That's a possibility. So this way there'll be less uproar. Maybe, the Islander fans, wait, when do all Islander fans go on vacation? And I'll announce it in the middle of August.
Brian P. said, everybody loves us having a great third line. How about a great first line for once?
Why would that be important? Our fourth line, the identity line. I want my first line to be my identity line. a line that can score, a line that people have to be afraid of when they go on the ice.
I like that. I like the balanced approach. That being said, I'd like a little bit more offensive pop. I'd like to bring a little more pop to the party. Michael M said, laugh my ass off. Leo, we should never see again, to be honest. Brutal.
True. But I bet Leo somehow finds his way in the lineup. As opposed, you'll see him play over Kiefer Bellows. That I'll predict that right now.
You think Leo's going to play next year if injury happens over Kiefer Bellows?
Absolutely.
Oh,
they love Leo. Uncle Leo. We're all pals. We all go out and drink espresso.
They're not drinking espresso. You think they're drinking espresso out there?
I don't know. It's an old thing old people do.
Jeff S. there said Bailey for Tarasenko.
I think we'd have to add something to make the money work. But like I said, for the extra $2.5 million, if they're willing to do that, I'm all for it. He's a market upgrade over any right wing that we have on the lineup. Anyone, including Oliver Wahlstrom.
Jeff Hess also said maybe Bailey, Bellows, and Komarov for Tarasenko if healthy, and Dr. or ND or
and a defenseman or some other piece.
I don't know, Grumpy. When people abbreviate, I struggle with those sometimes. I'm not up on all the acronyms. Or a D. I got you. I appreciate it, Grumpy. And then Coach Tommy B said Palmieri is not on the team if Lee did not get hurt. Not well, okay. No. See, like I hate when people say that because are you here? This is a serious question. If you think Lee was healthy, do you think Lou Lamoriello would have sat on his hands as the team had to compete and a chance for the playoffs and said, we're not going to make any moves. We're not going to make any trades. We're going to go in with the same exact team we had. No. And I will say this, even though I think he overpaid for a guy like Kyle Palmieri, every single team that's really trying to compete for the playoffs always makes additions at the trade deadline. Every single one. And this is a guy where he's got experience with Palmieri. I think Lee, healthy or not, we would have brought Kyle Palmieri in no matter what.
They play two different positions. He's wrong. As usual, Tommy Baffy's wrong.
Grumpy.
He should be happy we wouldn't win the cup because he'd have to change the name of his website.
He'd have to change it for the Drive for 6. The Drive for 6 just doesn't sound as nice. The Drive for 5. I hope it's not one we have on there long.
Maybe sticks for sticks. Sticks for 6. Put 2 hockey sticks. I got to patent that. I'm sure nobody else has that one.
Michael T said Palmieri and Parise will be on the third line. Hello with Pajot, the Triple P line, the PP line.
The peepees. The PP boys.
Oh. Beep, beep, beep. And then Brian J saying, who is a free agent next year? Well, you know who's a free agent, a defenseman that you cannot wait till he's a free agent next year, right?
Ryan Pulak, he'll be gone next year. He's free agent next year. Unrestricted. You think wait till you see what he gets paid next year. That's what happens when you sign a guy to get him right to free agency, Lou. Great job. I predicted that 2 years ago.
How much real? And again, like this is us kicking the bucket a little further down. How much realistically do you think he's going to get paid?
$7 million a year.
This is all, of course, including that he has a good, year. He doesn't, get injured. He doesn't have a poor year. You think $7 million a year?
Yep. And here's the thing. You got to remember, if you're a defenseman who plays for the Islanders, every team in the league knows that you can actually play defense. And what happens if he pops in 10 goals next year? I'm not saying he's Dougie Hamilton, but I could easily see $7 million a year.
He's getting paid $5 right now on average.
Yep.
So you're wondering who we have to sign back here next year. Kyle Clutterbuck's an unrestricted free agent next year. And again, at that time period, you should let Cal Clutterbuck.
Who's coming back? Hey, we need that fourth line together. He'll probably get a 3-year extension.
Next year, Leo Komarov is a free agent. We have to bring back the first line left winger too. We can't let him walk either. Then we're looking at it there. You've got Ross Johnson, and please don't bring him back. You never use him. Don't waste the money on him. Let him walk. As much as I like Ross, let him walk. You've got there Pulak. Noah Dobson will be restricted free agent. Technically, Andy Green unrestricted free agent. Sebastian Aho restricted free agent.
Yeah, it's not as you're gonna Pulak's
and then Thomas Hickey. Thomas Hickey's contract will expire.
Yeah, okay. Pulak's the big one though. You have no control over him. Everybody else that you really want, you have control over.
Brian P said Boston made a ton of moves today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? They realized their defense was not big and physical enough. When they lost Carlo, that changed the series against Boston. And they had nobody who could fill in. And they went out and they made some moves. You know, that's what you do. That's what you do. Are they the right moves? I don't know. We're going to find out. But at least they identified a problem and they tried to fix it. That's the difference between us and other teams. We know the problem. We've identified it, and we do nothing to resolve it. Maybe it'll just go away. If you ignore it, it goes away. Maybe that's what they're hoping.
Is that the approach you're taking? Is that the approach you think they're taking?
I mean, that's not the approach I'd like to take. If I see, if this is in Lou's house, he sprung a leak, in the kitchen sink, water shooting everywhere. I'm just going to go back up to bed. Maybe it'll go away. Maybe it'll come down next morning. It'll be gone. Doesn't matter. So it doesn't go away. It's still there when you come back, Lou.
Jeff asked there saying Garth Snow was worse. Never landed a free agent. Trades a third rounder there for minor league defenseman Davidson. Signed Reagan. Again, like might be for a while ago. And I don't know these abbreviations in a CSN on day one of unrestricted free agency, and was shocked somebody wanted him.
Okay. I hate to stick up for Garth Snow. Charles Wang was the owner for most of Garth Snow's tenure, and they were cheap. They weren't signing anybody. But I'll tell you what, he signed the biggest name free agent that this organization has ever gone after. You might say Garth Snow is worse. Name a free agent that Lou Lamoriello has landed. That's right. You're hearing crickets because he has never landed any, unless you want to consider Leo Komarov and Matt Martin. If those are
you talking about Leo Komarov? The absolute stud of a free agent we've brought in there.
37-year-old Zach Parise. There's another one. You have, 32-year-old $6 million, the $4.5 million man now. He's going to stay the $6 million man now. Matt Martin. I mean, if that's what you're considering free agents, I think Garth Snow did better, honestly. This guy has carte blanche. He can spend as much money as he wants. That was not the case when Garth Snow was GM.
T. Roy said, "In Lou we trust." It's not gonna make any splash this year. If anything, he's gonna make the team worse than last year. We aren't winning anything with what we got.
So I don't know if he really believes in Lou.
I think he's just joking around. In Lou we trust. He's like, making a jest at it. I don't think we're going to be worse than we were last year.
I do.
Depends on who we bring in on the defensive spot. If we say, hey, we're going to promote from within, as much as I think long-term that's better for us. In the short term, which is what our team's geared towards, I think Nicoletti is better than probably the defenseman we've got out there, who we can integrate in. And if we're going to sign a free agent, I want to venture out to say probably Nicoletti is better than Ryan Murray, just going out on a limb. But maybe we're going to trade for one. Who knows who we would trade for, what we'd have to give up. We'll find out.
We're too busy signing guys who we should have let go. Like I said, going into, I was very, very succinct in what I wanted them to do this offseason. And, of course, Lou went in the exact opposite direction. I said, Kyle Palmieri, you want to be here, 2 years, $6 million. Casey, you want to be here, 2 years, $5 million. That's it. If you want to go somewhere else, bye. Thank you for your service. Kyle, I know you bought a house. I don't care. I'm not paying for it. That's what Kyle probably said. He probably went, Lou, I know you only offered me $5 million, but I just bought this house, and man, the payments are a little bit more than I thought. It's like it's a type of mortgage that it's that adjustable rate mortgage, and rates are starting to go up. I'm going to need more. Okay, no problem, Kyle. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take for signing a dumb mortgage agreement like that. I'm going to cut the money that I'm giving you.
I should have talked to Coach Tommy B. Scott L said, too much Metamucil. Laughing out loud, grump. Toby O'Connor saying, keeping cap space so they can make a splash next season during the trade deadline.
I think we're out of first-round draft picks, aren't we?
Hey, we got one next year. We got a first and a second we can give up next year. John S. there saying, I'd love to see Tarasenko. Can you explain why the Kraken didn't want him? Something doesn't make sense.
Because they got a 24-year-old defenseman with no injury history who can be part of that. Here's the thing. How are they building their team, the Kraken, now, right? They're building it from the back out.
Yep.
Their goaltending is really good. Look at the guys that they drafted. I know they sent Vitek back to Washington, but I mean they got Drieger from Florida, and gosh, I forgot the other kid's name.
Like just Grubauer,
and that's right, with Grubauer. And the defense is pretty good back there. And Vince Dunn is a good defenseman. His year was a little bit down last year, but a 24-year-old who plays top 4 minutes, left-handed defense. I mean, that's the smart move. It gives you financial flexibility. $7.5 million for Tarasenko.
What?
Tarasenko.
Just call him Vladdy. Don't screw up his name, Grumpy. Gabucci Goring. Oh, goodness.
For Vladdy, right? I mean, to me, that's the smart move. When they expose Vince Dunn, that's the smart move.
I love it. I love it. Moving right along.
Yeah, you suck.
Jim P. there saying, how do you pronounce that, Grump?
Bruce Garoche. Posted that Calvin DeHaan's available. But don't want him. He's not an upgrade on anybody. He's like the Josh Bailey of the defense corps.
Yeah, I was about to say, we don't need to kick the tires on another injury-prone defenseman there. Again, that's not an upgrade over Leddy, as much as some people may have liked Calvin DeHaan during his tenure here. Not an upgrade over Nick Leddy.
You look at, Alex Martinez goes back on a very manageable deal to Vegas. 3 years, what was it, $4 million per? I don't think he wanted to leave the West, but did we even kick the tires on him? Who knows?
Michael T said, guys, it's a flat cap season, and we have key restricted free agents to sign. Both you guys oversimplify being an NHL general manager. How I look at it is like this. Every single general manager is dealing with the flat cap. Every single one of them. Every single team is. And you're seeing a lot of these restricted free agents signing for pennies compared to what their actual value is. When I see guys like Taylor Halls, again, ex-MVPs there of the league signing for $6 million a year. And again, when he played with Boston, he was averaging a point a game nearly. And again, he's signing for $6 million a year. I'm thinking to myself, man, oh man, what a bargain deal. When I see, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins signing for roughly about $5 million a year. Again, they haven't accomplished anything, haven't won anything. But I'm still thinking that's a really good contract there for Edmonton, who's got a lot of holes they still need to fill. I'll be interested to see what we go ahead and sign our players there for. Some players are getting really good deals. Some players get really bad deals. So when the general managers make awful signings like we're seeing here, with the Devils signing, giving a huge contract there to Dougie Hamilton, bad deal. When, owners and general managers make good contracts, we say good deal.
Barry signed a good deal for Edmonton. And you say, well, they haven't won anything. Well, guess what? What have the Islanders won? Nothing. They haven't won a division title. They haven't won a conference championship. They haven't won a Stanley Cup. They haven't won anything. They won a couple of playoff rounds last year against teams without goalies.
Michael said, we'll see how many cups the Flyers win after signing Seth Jones. We'll see how many cups the Devils win after signing their Dougie Hamilton.
Seth Jones is with Chicago. He's not with the Flyers.
Moving right along there, Alexander said, the reason they never take a hometown discount is because they know Lou will pay these guys what they want.
True.
Jimmy
he takes care of his guys.
Yeah. Jimmy S saying, like that shirt. I like the shirt.
Thank you.
Oh, my goodness. And then Brian P said, Hula there and Casey, at least even, but Hula is probably a little better.
Right. And like I said, 2 years, $4.75 million. That was the deal that Boston is somehow able to get these guys to take less money to go play there. I don't know how, but they're able to do it. Unrestricted free agents are taking less money to go there. You're not seeing that here.
That does blow my mind when I think about Taylor Hall taking that discount after, again, he had a terrible first half of the season, but he goes to Boston and starts lighting it up again. He obviously wanted to stay in Boston, but a guy who really showed his value and worth there once he, got the hell out of Buffalo. And, he signs, he takes a discount, in my opinion.
How's the Carlo deal looking now for Boston?
Pretty damn good.
4.1 for 6 years. When he went out, that was the end of their defense.
Mhm.
He and McAvoy. I mean, like I said, it just doesn't happen here. Just doesn't happen.
Brian J said, "Can the Islanders offer Sheila Pedersen a contract next year?"
They're not doing that.
No, they're not going to do that. Moving right, they technically can, but they're not.
You will never see Lou ever give someone an offer sheet. It will never happen. He's a company man all the way. Offer sheets are not good for the teams around the NHL, and there's no way he's going to upset that apple cart, even at 80 years old.
Jeff S. there said Panarin was slightly before the new arena. Starting from here forward, new arena, competitive team, practice facility, etc. starts now. Not too often does a big unrestricted free agent come along. But I'm saying even for the guys who aren't big unrestricted free agents, what's to stop a guy that's, teetering between, hey, I'm, a bottom six forward, or I'm even a guy who's, a tweener between, a second line guy and a third line guy. I'm an in-between guy. Maybe, I'm a number 4 or a number 5 defenseman. What's stopping them now from, taking a discount? We talk about these teams who have, players taking discounts, right? Boston's getting players taking discounts left and right. We've got the brand spanking new arena, the brand spanking new practice facilities. We're, elite in the league. We're a team that's got, good general manager, good ownership, a good head coach, a team that's consistently in the playoffs, consistently in the Eastern Conference Finals. What would stop us from being able to get guys on these hometown discounts like other teams are able to do? Not all teams are signing guys to hometown discounts, but, it makes me a little envious when I see some teams that are out there really getting bargain players on the cheap, in my opinion. And again, I laugh at the teams that sign and overpay players. I do it across the entire league, not just the Islanders.
And then you're looking at, I think people are deluding themselves. No one will sign. They don't sign here because they don't want to play here. They still look at the Islanders as an inferior franchise that's greater than the sum of its parts. And I'm going to say it again. Anyone who's an offensive player, why on God's green earth would they want to play for us? We don't play an offensive game. It's all about defense. Believe me, players around the league see Matt Barzal getting benched. They see it. They see the way the coach talks about him in the press when he gives passes to all the old guys. They see that. They hear the players see all this stuff. They hear all of it. And I firmly believe that's why players, they're like, you know what? I'm not going there. Landeskog could have come here, right?
We'll say he did say he was interested in the Islanders.
He was lying. He was just trying to drum up interest.
Oh,
That's all. Hey, Islanders, yeah, they got to the semifinals 2 years in a row. Yeah, I'm interested in the Islanders. He was never leaving Colorado. They talked to him. He's like, yeah, I was never leaving here. This is my home. He's been the captain there for, 9-10 years now. Think about that. 9 years. Captain at 19. That's a captain right there.
Stop. Okay, stop that. We've got a real captain on our team. Stop that garbage. Michael T said, it's funny watching Grumpy actually believe he knows better than actual NHL general managers and coaches. Get the fuck out of here, is what he says. I'll say this much, Michael, again, how am I able to predict everything that they do? Because I watch what they do. It's his thing. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. It really isn't. I'll ask you this. If the Islanders don't make a move for Tarasenko, do you seriously believe we're going to be a better off team? Our roster will be a better roster than our roster last year. And don't give me that crap that, now we've got Anders Lee back. That stuff is so weak. It's Charmin soft. Seriously, can you look at the roster and say, since we've added now Zach Parise and whatever defenseman we add there, that's an improvement over Jordan Eberle and Nicoletti? No. That's not even train station toilet paper, honestly. Charmin soft. Brian P. there said Casey on this team gets almost the same playing time as Barzal. Not true. Oh, yeah, Matty B. I think he's just being a little hanging. Barzal should be getting at least 19 minutes a game. There's no way he should be getting less than 19 minutes a game, 20 minutes a game. He's the best player on the team. The best player on the team. You know how much Matt Barzal plays minutes on ice there, Grump? What? You know he plays about 18 and a half. 18 minutes, 40 seconds a game. Matt Barzal. He should be getting more than that, too. Played about 20, but moving right along there. Brian J. said, if it wasn't for Trotz being a great coach, Lou Lamoriello would be screwed. I'm going to say it differently. If there was a different coach, it's very possible that Lou would be doing something different as a general manager. If you had a coach like Gerard Gallant, for instance, who's really good with younger players, I think Lou would be making moves to get younger players. I firmly believe that. I think Lou
works, and this is where Lou is really good. Whoever the head coach is, he's going to work with him to get him the type of player that head coach feels is best for the team. And that's because this is a Barry thing all the way. Old guys rule, young guys suck. He's been like that his whole career. And that's why I feel that Lou is doing this.
Look at the rebuild and look how Lou helped structure that team in Toronto. Completely different way than he structured the team. Again, he still made his signings there of, the Patrick Marleaus. I think he was trying to bring in a guy there that might be able to teach, the kids how to win, might be able to elevate their game, et cetera. He made a few of the older guys signings, but for the most part, they took hey, we're doing a young approach here. So I think you're right on that point. And
you do need guys like that. You do, but you don't need a whole team of them, which is what we have. You sprinkle them in at the end.
Brian P. said Lou was a great general manager pre-lockout. Also, Jeff S. there saying Lou won the cup there in 1995, 2000, and 2003.
Yeah, so it's like, 18 years since they won a cup.
Mark S. there said, you sound like me, Grumpy. I want to be wrong. Often I say that to my wife and kids. By the way, who do you think they'll get to replace Nick Leddy?
I have to maybe Ryan Murray. I just don't see it. I see every other left-handed defenseman is gone. All those players are gone on day one. All the good defensemen are gone on day one. Ryan Murray has not been signed yet, so maybe that leads me to believe that he's going to sign with the Islanders. Perhaps he's the guy out of the young guys. I thought that he would be the guy I'd most lean to, and since he's the only one left, maybe that's still the case. I still think it's a downgrade from Nick Leddy.
All quiet on the Western Front, grumpy old man. Hey, usually quiet news is good news for Lou. Ariel C. there says, I cannot see them moving Bailey for Tarasenko. It will be Beauvillier. That goes the other way, which is unfortunate in her opinion.
Well, that would not surprise me. But I mean, if you're all in for now, I just don't think Bailey's that good. I guess that's I think Beauvillier is a better player than Bailey. He brings energy. He brings creativity. He's not Josh Bailey, who's like spackle. Just something you kind of put in this, there's a crack. Yeah, just slap a little cheap spackle too. So you just kind of slap it up there a little bit. Oh, it looks okay. Yeah, I know we didn't have the right tool to smooth it out and stuff, but it's Josh Bailey.
Jono said, why didn't the Kraken take Tarasenko, then immediately trade him? It wouldn't even matter what they got back. It's all profit. What am I missing here?
They wanted Vince Dunn. They want their defense. You look at who they drafted. I mean, they signed Wenberg today. He got overpaid from Columbus. They signed Schwartz from St. Louis and one other player that they signed. But I mean, they're weak down the middle. They went for defense, goaltending. That's what they went. That's what they went for. I thought their expansion draft picks were terrible, honestly. Really? I picked a way better team for them at the same money and the same maneuverability. It wasn't even close. My team was infinitely better, the same matter of fact, less money than they actually spent, and had the financial flexibility to do anything you wanted.
Look at you. Alan Street there said Toronto needs a goalie. Yeah, they signed Peter Mrazek today. Peter Mrazek and Jack Campbell.
They're not the answer.
No.
They're not the answer.
I agree, grumpy old man. Ariel C. said, I won't be happy if it's just Parise and Palmieri as additions, but it will be a slight upgrade to Eberle and Uncle Leo.
I say it's a wash.
I guess I'm going to approach the same with Grumpy. Palmieri's not an addition, in my opinion. We added him at the trade deadline, and that's a guy we're just signing back. I don't look at him as an addition. That's a trade we already had to give up a first-round pick and a third-round pick for. So we've already paid our price there on a first and a fourth. We've already paid our price there on Palmieri, and now we're having to go ahead and give him that extension there. Moving right along there, though. Jeff S. said, if Tarasenko was healthy, wouldn't the Kraken take him? That little fact stays on my mind, although I think he's worth a gamble, as they might not have to pay a full price.
St. Louis says that if you want him, you're going to have to pay full price. I'm all for it. I think he is healthy. I just don't think the Kraken wanted to take anybody who made a whole lot of money. $7.5 million is a whole lot of money. They wanted financial flexibility. Eberle made the most money out of anybody. Well, maybe Gord. Gord made $5.9 million, but after that, it was Eberle as the highest salaried player on the team. I mean, they could have had Carey Price too, right? But they wanted to have that financial flexibility. That's what it was all about.
Ariel C there said Parise is definitely coming over, and if somehow, some way that we get Tarasenko while resigning Palmieri, you can kiss Wahlstrom being in the lineup goodbye.
It all depends if you move Bailey. If you move, because you're going to have to give something up for Tarasenko. So if you move Bailey, that still opens up that spot for Wahlstrom.
Yeah. Moving right along there. Joe P there says, can Hickey fill our left defense hole?
No.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. No, I don't want to see Hickey up there. Hickey's time and the fun in the sun is long gone there. Paulo C said Sebastian Aho should take Nicoletti's spot.
I'd give him a shot. I'd love to see he and Scott Mayfield play on the bottom pairing. I'd love that. But then you'd have to count on Andy Green playing top 4 minutes. Is he capable of doing that? Nope.
Stephen R said, we know Lou's tendencies. There's no internal pressure there from John Ledecky there to get a big fish.
True.
Oh,
True.
She said, is there no internal pressure from John Ledecky, et cetera, to get a big fish?
Nope.
Okay. Gotcha. Moving right along here.
And here's the thing, right? We made it to the conference finals 2 years in a row, as far as we're ever going to go. I'm just glad that they don't have it like they used to, where they used to mix up the 4 divisions. You kind of mix them up. It was like best team played the worst team.
We had a 1 seed play 8 seed there in the conference. That's what it was. Yeah. That's not how it's going to be. Jeff S said, Grumpy.
Man,
left out Bruce Driver, Sean Burke, and John McLean,
Bobby Holik, Mike Peluso. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what, I used to like the Devils back in the day.
Brian P said, there goes TJ, always trying to make the third line better than it.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, I like the third line. I like having a strong third line. John O said, I have seen someone so frustrated with a team that has made the strides the Islanders have in the last 5 years. Shame on you, Grump.
What strides have they made? They brought in a different GM and a coach. That's all they've done. They have done nothing else.
They've signed Simon Varlamov.
Semyon Varlamov, yeah.
Varlamov, yeah.
The J.G. Pajot trade was the best move that was made. And you gave up a first and a second for him. And he's a good third liner. But just because the team has had a little bit of success doesn't mean, and here's the thing, I'm not happy with qualifying for the playoffs every year, maybe. I mean, we came in 4th in our division this year, so we barely qualified for the playoffs. The year before, if that season went on the rest of the way and wasn't stopped, we were not going to make the playoffs. And then just to, get beat and then not do anything to improve the team. The end game goal should be to win a Stanley Cup. And as a team gets older and older, which it is, and we're not transitioning away from that any way, shape, or form, it's just, I feel it's like it's chasing fool's gold right now at this point in time. That's all. And if you're going to go all in with this group, you have to get a sniper who can put points up. Big points, score big goals. Has to happen.
Michael T said, I just want to say appreciate both of you guys in this podcast. I love talking Islanders hockey no matter what. Let's freaking go Islanders.
You got it, Michael.
Hey, thanks, Michael. Absolutely. John O said, to be as sour on the Islanders as Grumpy is after the strides the organization has the last 5 years, it should be shameful.
You just said that.
It was a different message, so I think he slightly reworded it though. But yeah, he's upset, Grumpy, that you're not happy with the success we've had. Brian P said Lou will add $2 million more for his birthday.
Well, he certainly doesn't. Instead of him spending money on candles, because that would run him some extra bucks. He says, "I'll just give you an extra $1 million." Can't afford the candles.
Zach Parise, it's your birthday. Here's an extra $2 million on the dotted line.
Do. I know it's your birthday. Another Beatles song.
Brett W said Parise better than Eberle. What's next? Steve Lombardi there is better than Randy Savage. Tell him how it is, Grumpy.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a battle of wits. I'm dealing with an unarmed man sometimes.
Toby O'Connor there saying, do you think the Islanders trade for a long-term injury contract to gain cap space?
You mean like Tampa Bay, like the smart teams in the league do to get guys under the cap? No, I don't think so. Arthur Staple, I believe it was Arthur Staple, put out that they should maybe try to trade with Anaheim for Ryan Kessler's contract. I'm all for it. Anything that can get you top-end talent, that's what we need. If we want to win a Stanley Cup, we need top-end talent. I'm not the only one who thinks like that. You're hearing the NHL pundits say the same thing. We're not good enough to beat the really good teams, and we're not. We're just not. We're a tough out because we play hard. We got guts. But at the end of the day, we're going to lose because we don't have the individual talent and the high-end skill that's needed to win a Stanley Cup. Just don't have it. One guy on the whole team.
Scott L said, the Brooklyn Brawlers reference.
Yep, that was Steve Lombardi was eventually the Brooklyn Brawler. He was really friendly with Pat Patterson too. I'll let everyone make their own assumptions on that.
Michael T said, we really have to wait until the dust settles and then 40 games into the season. We need to relax. I think he's joking with that one.
He's got to be trolling.
Paulo C said, Grumpy, we need a goal scorer, not Parise. If we don't get Tarasenko, I smell a bad year.
It's not, Pang made a good point too. It's funny. You would think that I directed them in what they said because they said everything that I said just way nicer than I say it. Okay.
Way more articulate than the grumpy old man says.
Well, no, just nicer. Just nicer.
Yeah, I know.
It's like it's tough to win games 3-2 and 2-1 all the time. You have to be able to blow teams out. So, everything is not a grind and then have to grind through the playoffs. It's just hard. It's hard. And the older you get, the harder it is. Believe me on that. Take it from me. The older you get, the tougher it is to do those physical things night after night after night.
Now tell me, what's so tough? What have you seen that's become more and more tough there for you, Grumpy, the older you've gotten?
Dealing with morons like you. That's very difficult for me.
Ariel C said, it's just going to be unfortunate in 2 years when we have to blow this team up with zero talent in the farm. Hey, we got Atu Ratti.
Well, but that's true, right? That's my whole point. You should be making a steady transition. That's why at the trade deadline, I didn't want Kyle Palmieri. I wanted a Connor Garland. I wanted a Rickard Rakell. Look at the deal that Connor Garland signed. Yeah. 5 years, $4.5 million for a guy who's 25 years old. That's something that I would be all in for. Why? Because he's a young up-and-coming talent. He's on the upside. Kyle Palmieri's on the downside.
And when you talk about players and teams that got deals on the cheap, right? How long did you say the deal was for Connor Garland?
I think 4 years.
4-year deal, getting paid about $4.5 million per. The guy, again, now he's had in a shortened season last year, he had 20-goal season. This year, again, 49 games played, 39 points. And a guy who's got the pedigree over there. He was drafted. What was he? I think he was drafted or is he? I don't know.
It was 5 years, $4.95 million a year. He's 25 years old. But see, to me, that's a good deal. That's a good deal. You're going to pay, and he's a right wing. He's a right wing too. So there you let Everly go. You have a Connor Garland stepping in, a guy who's a proven 20-goal scorer. I mean, isn't that what you want to do? You transition away from the older to the younger, who still give you the same output and the potential to get much better. Shouldn't that be the goal of the team, to transition away from the older players? I think it should. Rickard Rakell, another one from Anaheim, right? You're giving up a first-round draft pick anyway. Why not give it away for someone who's going to be on your team for a long time and has potential to get better? That's my whole point about that.
Eli also said there, random fact, the combined weight of the Islanders defense is 2,421 pounds, about 1.25 tons. Maybe that's why they can't skate fast.
We do have a big defense core. We do have one of the bigger defense cores in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian P. also said, we're the best because Don Cherry said it in 2014, laughing out loud.
I mean, that's a long time ago.
He also says, I think Tuukka Rask is out.
Very possible. Very possible.
Jeff Sobel, they're also saying for the Islanders to get Tarasenko outside of medical clearance, an established winger will need to go. Lee is not being traded. I hope Pavillier stays. He either needs to be Bailey or a possible sign and trade with Palmieri.
I would rather have it be Bailey because I think that Palmieri brings more offensive talent than Bailey does. And it's not going to be Lee. It's not going to. In my dream scenario, Lee got moved in that deal and we signed Landeskog. But that was, like I said, I knew that was never happening. That would really require talk about suspending disbelief. I mean, that's what you'd have to do there.
That would never happen because it's a silly scenario. It never was going to happen.
Yeah, it was never going to happen.
Michael T said, "Is Linus Ullman related to Tracy?"
No, but Norm Ullman was. It's Ullmark.
Oh, goodness.
Norm Ullman was a really good player back for Toronto in the 60s and 70s.
Alexander said, "Oh my God, did I see a comment that Parise was better than Eberle? Let's just say that's why Bret Hart was overrated. Then, oh my God, people need to stop."
Bret Hart was a good wrestler. I mean, I'm sorry. I thought Bret Hart was a really good wrestler. He could do anything. The excellence of execution. The best there was, the best there is, the best there ever will be. Bret Hart was really good.
And then Alexander said the fan base does overrate Josh Bailey. They think he's a god.
He's not. He's not. I mean, other teams, believe me, Barry Trotz didn't think that way. You've heard him say, "Oh, I didn't realize, how much he brought to the table till he got here. I just thought he was a ham and egger, a jag."
Oh, goodness. Ariel C said, "I'm more concerned with getting scoring, but what are we doing with Letty Spot?"
I for some reason, I think it's going to be Ryan Murray. There's no way we're going into the season with two young guys playing defense. I don't see.
Brian J said, "I think Simon Holmstrom's going to score 20 goals."
That's true. Over like his, 10, 15-year career. Don't sell Simon Holmstrom short. He could easily score 20 goals in 10 years.
Jimmy S said, "I kind of agree with the Elvis Beatles thing."
Yeah, man, Elvis. It's funny. They've been showing some Elvis stuff on TV. He was fantastic. And I'll tell you what, the women just loved him. Oh, he was, Elvis. Oh. Man, Elvis.
Goodness gracious there.
Had to be tough to be him, though. Just surrounded by yes men. That's where you get yourself in trouble when you're surrounded by yes men. You hear that, Lou? You hear that, Lou?
He says Elvis was a hack, 100%.
Jeez,
Michael. Alexander,
you can always count on Michael to say something ridiculous.
Nah. Alexander said teams will have a hard time preparing for the first line with Lee, Barzal, and Palmieri. Laughing, crying faces.
Yeah, I don't see that. Yeah, I agree with Alexander there.
Luis there, F there says, why Lou didn't go after Jaden Schwartz?
He's a left wing.
Yeah, that's the only reason why
they need a right wing to replace Eberle.
Yeah, and then Brian P said exactly, Grump. Lou did nothing to be pleased about today.
Yeah, I mean, and he might. I mean, but so far he's done exactly what I predicted he would do. Nothing. Sign back his own guys. And like I said, for me, it'll be extremely frustrating if you go out and see at the end of the day, we freed up all this cap space to sign more 30-year-old guys to long-term extensions, which is just going to put you in the same situation every single year. It's just like shampoo Lou, wash, rinse, repeat.
Shampoo Lou. Marquez said start Aho and also says Wallstrom will start the year in Bridgeport.
Oh, I can't see that happening. Now, about Aho, I think he would be a good pairing, honestly, with Scott Mayfield. I really do. But then it's like, still, who's your second pairing? Because to me, Andy Green, it'd be too tough for him to play 18 minutes a game, 16 and a half, 17 minutes a game. I think that's too much for him at 39. He showed it last year. He didn't look that good last year. I mean, Dobson, I thought looked good until he got COVID. Then I thought his year kind of never came back to where it was. So I'm expecting a jump from him. But, I mean, you don't get hurt when Aho's out there. I don't think. I like him.
Ariel C said, I will say a lot of general managers made knee-jerk reactions today. A lot of overpayments for subpar players. Lou might have something planned that will blow our skirts up, as Grumpy would say.
and hopefully it's trading for Tarasenko. To me, that's the move. If he makes that deal, regardless of what happens in the standings, that's a win this offseason. It shows that, okay, we know what our problem is. We are trying to rectify the situation. And that's all you can ask a general manager to do, honestly. It's all on the players. Players win and lose games. But you have to do the best you can to put the best players you can possibly have out there on the ice at the time. Just have to do it.
And Toby O'Connor said, Robin Salo is ready.
I don't think he's ready yet. He'll be down in the minors at least 1 year, at least.
Coach Tommy Biel saying Wahlstrom will be on the Islanders this season. He will play.
I agree.
I think so too. I think he's going to be penciled in for the third line right wing spot. Again, no matter how well he does, could score 50 goals. He's going to play the third line right wing spot, unless there's any type of injury. He'll be stuck down there in the third line. And again, hopefully he'll get more minutes. I don't want to see Oliver Wahlstrom sitting down there with 11 or 12 minutes every night.
No. And just when you think, Tommy Baffy couldn't say anything correct, he goes and I realize he wasn't going on too much of a limb, but he says something that's actual. Accurate.
It's been a while. I can't wait to have Coach Tommy be back on the show, Grumpy. I know you can't wait for that.
It's coming, I'm certain. I'm way too respectful of him when he comes on the show.
Oh, moving
He's
right.
a glad-hander Islander fan. You know he is.
Stop. Alexander said the pee-pee line. Oh, my God, Grump, stop. I'm dying.
See, I love that line, the pee-pee line. I love it, the pee-pee line.
I don't care how we do in the standings. It'd be funny just to say the pee-pee line.
Yeah, to me, that's what I'm going to call him.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I really hope we get Tarasenko, so Palmieri's on the third line.
Brian P. said, that's the Islanders to a T. Zajac over Wahlstrom. That's why fans like me get pissed.
Yeah, it's like, dude, are you even trying to win? That's why I said, we only lost by a goal. We could have won the Stanley Cup if we would have scored a goal. Well, guess what? When your coach is putting out a guy who hasn't scored a goal in 7 years, you put him out there for a guy who's your leading power play scorer, but you won't play him. Like I said, Tampa Bay, they just up 1-0. It's game's over.
I do love that, right? When people are like, we're only 1 goal away. I'm like, okay, let's not try to paint it like that. We were outscored 21-11 that series. And that was a game, even though it came down to game 7. That was a series as a whole, even though it went 7 games. The games we lost, we were dominating. The games we won were close, hard fought games. It'd be nice to have a little bit of a comfortable win and to have some comfortable wins where it's kind of like, okay, the players get to relax a little bit. We're up, 3-4 goals. Well, we did have games we were up 3 or 4. We did have games we were up 3 goals. We just went ahead and squandered those leads and turned them into a 1-goal game in a matter of like 5 minutes.
And there's no harm in losing to the best team in hockey. I'm just going to say that again. Y'all can, we were this close. No, Tampa Bay is really, really, really good. And any time that I felt that we pushed them, they just reacted and they did whatever they had to do to win. I don't know. I never felt that we were a threat to beat them at all.
Sal Pease there said, another horrible free agency day for our beloved franchise. This is what we've come to expect every year. I thought things would be better, different this year when we cleared all that money. But apparently we'll continue with the Geezer strategy. So disappointing.
I hate to say it.
I'm still optimistic. I'm still optimistic. That's all I'm going to say.
Think about it. If we bring in a 29-year-old Tarasenko, that's considered a youth movement for the Islanders. Just think about that. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Most guys getting a 29-year-old says, we got a grizzled vet. Not us. Oh, look at that youngster, 29 years old.
And then Paulo C there said, please, Lou, stop trading for old guys. Enough is enough, and less for a goal scorer.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Would you have rather had Alexander Ovechkin or Anders Lee right now?
Are you asking me would I rather have the 5-year contract that Ovechkin has or the 5 years left that Lee has?
The player. It's Alexander freaking Ovechkin.
This should be. I was about to say, I'm like, this is a no-brainer, right? Ovechkin. Why are you asking?
I don't know. I just felt like asking it.
Did you really thought I was going to say Anders Lee? I'd rather have.
I was going to ask Patrick Kane, but that's an old. We know you picked Anders Lee over Patrick Kane. Remember that one?
Not true. Anyway, moving right along there. Michael T said, "What a bold statement to say the team won't win a Stanley Cup." Laughing out loud. Oh my goodness! Come on, Grumpster.
Okay. Write it down. Michael, I want you to go to your refrigerator, write a little note, put it up there with a little magnet, say grumpy old man on whatever today's date is.
Today is July the 28th of 2021.
He says, we will not win a Stanley Cup with Lou Lamoriello and Barry Trotz.
No, I thought you said what the team is currently constituted.
Yeah. Well, I can just say with those two guys because the team isn't changing with those two guys in charge.
I just cannot wait to see you eat your words.
I want to eat my words. Please, Islanders, make me eat my words.
Oh, goodness gracious there. Yep, I'm moving right along there. Tommy B said, it's easy to laugh at the doom and gloom attitude on July the 28th. We'll see how you all feel if it has to be Beauvillier for Tarasenko.
Man, you're really all in for now then.
You go ahead.
Go ahead, TJ.
So this offseason, I think Tarasenko is a marketable upgrade over Eberle. I don't think Palmieri, even if people want to say Palmieri, Parise is not an upgrade over Beauvillier. And whoever we're probably going to be bringing in off the free agent market is not an upgrade over Nick Leddy. Just throwing that one out there. I'm looking at what's out there. I'd rather have Nick Leddy than Ryan Murray.
True.
So, if we take an upgrade in a significant portion on the first line, that's awesome. We took a step back on the second line left wing. If we're going to have to give up Beauvillier. And
we don't have a second line left.
Could you freaking imagine this? If we were to go ahead and trade Anthony Beauvillier and utilize Zach Parise on the second freaking line, could you imagine that? Oh my God!
Maybe
an aneurysm.
Maybe gosh, you know what? Anthony Beauvillier is scheduled to make some money in restricted free agency. Let's move him because we're afraid of what we're going to have to pay a young and up and coming player. We can pay some old ham and egger, the same amount.
Either on a 1, 2, or 3 year contract. You pick.
Yes, we'll let him pick. but then you have a hole on your left side then, right? Let's be honest. That unless you're going to move Josh Bailey over to the left. My gosh, Josh Bailey over to the left side.
I think that would be such a foolish mistake if we have to include Beauvillier there in a trade there for Tarasenko. I really do believe that. We're not deep at left wing. I mean, you've got Anders Lee who will come back, but if you're saying, they don't want to play Kiefer Bellows, and now we're going to be in a situation where Parise would have to be a guy to step up and play, top 6 minutes. Yikes. Yeah. Guy couldn't play top 6 minutes for Minnesota. We're sliding him in saying, hey, play top 6 minutes for us.
Well, that should tell you one thing, though. They are all freaking in. If you're all in, I don't mind being all in, but I don't want to be all in by adding guys who are in their mid to late 30s. You can go all in and get some guys on the cusp of 30.
How can you be? This is my question. How could you be all in when Beauvillier is a better player than Josh Bailey? How is that considered being all in? You got rid of the better player. And even if, let's say, Bailey, you're going to have to give up something to package Bailey in a deal to get Tarasenko in return. That's fine. I'm fine with that because if we're really in the all-in mentality, I firmly believe, again, as much as I believe, Beauvillier is a streaky guy, I believe Beauvillier brings more to what this team needs there and brings more to the table than Josh Bailey does.
The second line is invisible without Anthony Beauvillier. Invisible. He drives that line. He absolutely drives. As he goes, that line goes.
Zach Parise is going to drive the second line now if we get rid of Beauvillier.
He's going to drive us right to the dump. That's where he's going to drive us.
Going to drive us right to the retirement home. Master Lego Yoda said, I agree with Grumpy. If we get Parise, we're not going to want to get ahead of the 94 points in the prime Parise. We would just get Deadwood that can maybe produce on the power play. Maybe that's it.
And if you have Oliver Wahlstrom and Vladdy Tarasenko, you don't need Zach Parise on your third power play unit. So, like I said, once again, here's the thing. There is no market for Zach Parise. There is no market. To me, that's a guy you let sit until the day before and say, okay, we weren't able to get anything else, so we'll sign you, Zach Parise. That's the only way I bring a guy like that in. There is no market for him.
Chris B said Tarasenko is key this offseason. Without him, Boston will knock us out of the playoffs this year.
Well, Boston's not in our division. And I think that's honestly, that's a benefit. I think most of the teams, I don't think our division is as good as everyone seems to think it is. I think we got a bunch of older teams who are on the way down. Pittsburgh and Washington, we're on the way down. And you've seen the teams on the way up. The Philadelphia's, the Rangers, you're seeing them, and Carolina, you're going to see them start to elevate.
Carolina has a good setup, but they do anything they can every offseason to shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, I don't understand but you know what? They're a team that gives us a hard time all the time because they
believe the love they have for Jonathan Bernier. I'm like, why? I like that's something I don't fathom. I don't get.
Well, they signed Frederick Anderson today. That's who they signed to be their goalie, Frederick Anderson. 2-year deal, though. They didn't make a 5-year commitment to him, just 2.
Tommy B said, correct. Most free agents do get overpaid. So why are we whining that the Islanders do nothing? Why are we whining that the Islanders do that too?
Because we're overpaying guys in their 30s who aren't that good. And you're seeing guys of that ilk get paid less somewhere else. Stop investing in guys over their 30s. I'd much rather overpay a guy in his mid-20s than a guy in his 30s. Because that's you have upside in the younger players. There is no upside to Kyle Palmieri, to Zach Parise, to Casey Cizikas. They're never going to be as good as they were. They may be, well, Zach Parise's done, but you might get the same out of Kyle Palmieri. Casey Cizikas is on the way down. Zach Parise's finished. And like I said, Palmieri, how many more years of production you think I'd get to him? 1, 2, maybe. Sorry.
Jimmy S. said, I've taken the calling LL, last minute Lou.
All right. Last minute Lou.
Coach Tommy B said, Varley is better than Grubauer.
I totally disagree. If you put Grubauer in this system, he'd have better numbers than Varlamov. Without a doubt. It's the system for Varlamov. Varlamov wasn't good enough to beat out Grubauer. Varlamov was the starter when Grubauer went there, and he lost the job to Grubauer in Colorado. Those are facts.
And again, like the numbers he put up this last year were gaudy there for Colorado. He always played well. I think about what Grubauer's numbers would be exactly as you said if he was playing here for the Islanders, because Varlamov struggled mightily his last few years there in Colorado. Again, the only reason we brought him in and paid that much was just for Sorokin, in my belief. And Coach Tomby also said Martin and Green signed last year right before training camp. Barzal signed during it.
But they had those guys signed well before that. And you might see that now. That Parise is, he's already signed, but they're waiting till the last minute so they can use a long-term injury, to add guys at the end. That's very possible.
And then the Wicked 50 Cal said, I was like TJ up until 2 days ago, but starting yesterday, I have turned to the grumpy old man. I'm not optimistic that the Yankees are going to be able to get my guy Tarasenko.
Well, the Yankees traded for Joey Gallo today. I don't know. That's just throwing. They're another team that. I'm sorry, Yankees are done this year. Coach Boone needs to go. Bye-bye, Boone. Bye-bye, Booney.
Bye-bye, Boone. Moving right along here. Coach Tommy B said, we had no cap to make the trade if Lee was healthy. Okay. So you had no cap to make a trade if Lee was healthy. Now, if you're trying to tell me we couldn't go ahead and get a team like the Devils to go ahead and retain cap, you're allowed to have three players that you can retain cap on for the prorated rate of, 15 games. We couldn't have got them retain over half the cap there on it to make that a manageable deal. No, we definitely could have.
Yeah, so, Tommy Baffy.
I'm not too worried about that.
You got your boy TJ disagreeing with you now.
Oh, he says learn how the salary cap works. Yeah, you're sitting at a prorated rate of 15 games, which is less than 20% of the season. You could take half of that. So he was making $4 million. What's 20% there of $4 million? I think we still would have been okay there. 20, and if they retain half it, what's 10% of the $4 million? We're looking at like 400,000. I think we still would have been okay. That's roughly, again, quick math off the top of my head.
They could have made that work. They could have made that work very easily.
Oh, exactly. You're trying to tell me we couldn't have done something like that and say, hey, we're going to go ahead and offload, XYZ piece there. Take, any player you want there. It's taking a certain percentage off our cap. Who do we have contracts that expired this year? Sorry about that, Grum. But we could honestly made that work there again for one. I mean, like, what was Palmieri making here on this current contract he had?
I don't know what it was. $5 million per 4.5.
Michael T said Tarasenko is the key. Laughing my ass off.
He is. He's the key to the offseason.
I agree. He is the key to the offseason. Moving right along there. Coach Tom B said the Islanders had to place Lee on long-term injury to get cap space to acquire Palmieri and Zajac. We didn't have to acquire Zajac. We had pieces here. And again, Palmieri, you could have had them retain, and you're only getting a prorated rate you have to pay for the regular season. So 15 games, and you could have them retain half cap. I'm not saying you would have had to pay more, but hey, maybe we don't need Zajac in that deal. Just retain half cap there because the Devils had absolutely no opportunity and chance to make the playoffs.
We could have given them the first and the fourth for Palmieri. What's the difference? We don't need draft picks anyway.
What a film saying, great podcast. Love you guys.
Love you, Wada.
Again, Coach Tommy B, I'm just saying, all you have to do is go ahead and prorate the cap and go ahead and have them retain a certain portion. They didn't have the 3 players needed, so they easily could have retained cap, and you still would have been able to make a deal happen. But we're moving right along there. Let's say the Islanders get Tarasenko, but don't win the cup.
That's okay. Here's the thing. We're not winning the cup without him. That much I can guarantee you. Wouldn't you like to at least have a shot at it? I would.
If we don't win the cup and we get Tarasenko, at least I could say we've done everything we can to win it. I think we do need to make a bold move. I would hate to say we got real far, we tried real hard, and we just continued to roll the same team out there over and over again. I'd rather say we got to the pinnacle, we made a bold move, and we didn't win or we did win.
You know what else? Here's what else. Even if you don't win the cup, you could say, wow, isn't it great watching Barzal and Tarasenko handle that puck and score goals as opposed to, we won another slog, outshot 33-14, won it 2-1 on a defensive breakdown at the end. It is supposed to be entertaining too.
Moving right along there. RW said snow did land Andrew Ladd.
That was the biggest free agent signing we've ever had. The biggest in the history of the franchise. So before you say you lose great signing free agents, I mean, Zernak, Timosov.
Well, think about that, right? We didn't have to sign. If you wanted the cap space, why sign guys like Dmytro Timosov and, Austin Zarnak and all these other guys that you had no intention on planning? Again, Lou's done a lot of those signings where it's like, hey, we signed Thomas Hickey to a 4-year deal and Ross Johnston. What's the point? Why find guys like that? We don't need it. And you guys wonder, like, hey, how can we make sure we've got enough cap space? I don't need to spend $1 million on Ross Johnson if you have no plans on playing him. I don't need you to spend 2.5, but when you throw in the minors, it's only 1.5 there on Thomas Hickey. I don't need you to spend money there on Zarnak. I don't need you to spend money on Dmytro Timosov. We don't need that type of stuff like that. Again, I think those are 2-way contracts. I can't remember if those 2-way or 1-way contracts, but we've got a lot of dumb contracts.
That's my whole point. Lou Lamoriello has put himself in this situation, and he continues to do it. And he's going – you watch. He will do it again tomorrow, the next day, whenever they finally release these numbers. They'll probably try to do it on a Friday media dump when everybody's gone for the weekend. That's always popular.
I thought you were going to do like a midnight dump.
Yeah, and a Friday midnight, so the weekend has time to die down. That's what they like to do. I mean, it is what it is. You make your bed, you got to sleep in it. I'm sorry. You're right. He didn't have to sign Zarnak and Timosov. I mean, he didn't have to sign Andy Green to, whatever he gave him the vet minimum, and then he backloaded it so it counts against this year's cap too. He didn't have to do that. He chose to do it. Was there a market for Andy Green besides vet minimum? We could have got Zdeno Chara.
Why did we have to give him bonuses?
That's my whole point.
He's getting paid the vet minimum, and he's getting paid like $2 million in bonuses. Keith Yandle not eligible for any bonuses there due to his age, getting $900,000. And again, Keith Yandle didn't have a great year. Keith Yandle, is not the defenseman he was there in the past. But you're telling me that with the bonuses he's making, Andy Green's get paid roughly about 3 times the amount last year that Keith Yandle's getting paid this year.
You could have gotten Zdeno Chara for $790,000 last year.
And
No bonuses.
People are going to think that we're quibbling about nonsense here. But
it all adds up. It all adds up.
That's what I'm thinking. Is the large picture is all these little bits, all this chunk here, 1 million here, 2 million here,
1.5 million for the $6 million man who had no freaking market. It all adds up. Signing Leo Komarov for $3 million a year for a ham and egg or hack whose career was finished in Toronto. But you feel you need to pay these old guys that money. Sorry. You can't sell it like that to me. I'm sorry.
Brian P said, I want youth and scoring. So Lou gets older and more grinders.
That's his MO. Grinders.
Grinders
don't win cups. I'm sorry.
Deidre C said, Grumpy, you need to relax. You're a little constipated. It's not as dismal as you make it out to seem to be.
We'll see. I just hate predicting something that happens all the time. Grumpstradamus. I hate being right all the time.
Time B said Hull is nowhere near the player he used to be a solid second line guy, but nowhere near the MVP. He's a guy who averages close to a point a game there in Boston, and we pay guys who average 0.6, 0.5, 0.7 points there, similar contracts there to that. That's the issue I've got when I see a guy like that who was an ex-MVP caliber player whose, career got sucked into the black hole that is the Devils and sucked into the black hole that is the Sabres. And now he goes to a team where, hey, he's got a little bit of power around him. Not all the focus is on him, even though he did win technically the MVP win in New Jersey. I think what we're going to see is still really good production out of Taylor Hall. Hell, I'd take him on a 4-year, $6 million deal any day of the week.
I take him over Kyle Palmieri. For certain, I would. He's a left wing, though. But I'm saying contract-wise, whatever Kyle Palmieri gets is going to be too much. You watch.
Absolutely, Grumpy. Moving right along there.
I take Ryan Nugent-Hopkins over Palmieri any day of the week.
Time V said, don't let Bailey spackle over Grumpy's couch.
Don't worry. Bailey... I already have my Bailey rant for the day. And here's the thing. I don't go out of my way to talk about Bailey. Somebody brings him up and just triggers me. He's a trigger.
I don't think that's the case. Is it, Grump? I didn't bring him up today. I think you did. Well, we did talk about trading him, I guess. Ed A said, you will subtract too much if Beauvillier is part of the Tarasenko trade possibility. I agree.
Yeah, I'm not all for trading younger guys once again. Like the Devon Taves last year. That was just such a blunder by Lamoriello. And you're seeing the ramifications right now. Right today, you're seeing the ramifications. Why? Because he was a second pairing left-handed defense, and you gave him away $4.1 million for a 4-year deal or a 5-year deal at his age. That's a steal, an absolute steal. And, we couldn't move Nick Leddy. Well, how are you able to move him this year? He's just a year older. I don't understand that. Like I said, he's made so many mistakes as GM, sacrificing young players for old. It's just, it's ludicrous. Ludicrous, I tell you.
Moving right along there. Barker M9 said, I know it doesn't make sense, but Lou actually is very good at his job.
He is good at his job. I'm not saying he's not good at his job, but he could be better. That's what I'm saying. Or maybe he can. And if he can't, you need to get somebody else in there. I'll tell you what, I'm just thoroughly impressed with Zito in Florida and Brisebois in Tampa and Yzerman in Detroit. These guys know what these guys really know what they're doing. I just think when free agency came in and salary cap, that was the end. I'm not meaning the end for Lou, but he's kind of out of his depth when it comes to that, where these other guys aren't.
And then Coach Tommy B also said Giordano was the highest salary player on the Kraken selected.
That's right. And he will get moved. He'll get moved at trade deadline for somebody. 38 years old.
He's a guy who's still got value, and he could be one of those depth defensemen that you add there. Think about the other moves we made here this year at the trade deadline that we didn't need to. Colburn, right? You talk about, hey, we're in cap space. We acquired Braden Colburn. I think they actually did retain some cap there on Palmieri. But, we still paid. I'm trying to think the cap hit we had on Tarasenko was still like over $3 million. We're right around $3 million of the cap hit, and then Colburn is like 1 point something. I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, we definitely could have had the space, even if Anders Lee wasn't working. Worst comes worst, we could have offloaded somebody with a small contract there, or found a way to make it happen. Teams do it all the time.
You just have to be creative.
Gotta be creative. And you might have to give up more than you'd like, but if you really wanted to push forward, if Lee was healthy, you could have done it. But
that's right.
moving right along there. Jerry B said, when does Aturati play his first NHL game? Grump, where are you going to give a timeline on a guy like this?
2027.
2000.
6 years from now? Well, I'm sorry. Maybe 2030.
I will tell you, anybody I feel like who the organization likes gets automatically jettisoned and put there to the top. Doesn't matter. I mean, again, like I think they like the players they like for a good reason. I mean, like I think Bolduc's one of their favorites. I think Bolduc's a really talented kid out there, though, too. So, that's deservedly so. But
I'm joking, and also I'm joking when I say 2030. But I want to say probably at least 4 years before he has a legitimate shot. They don't want to play young players. They don't want to do it unless they're absolutely forced into it. They won't do it. They just won't. And here's the thing. This kid is about scoring, right? I mean, does he play enough defense? And we'll find out next Wednesday. But to me, if you don't play defense for Barry Trotz, you're not going to play. I mean, that's why a lot of these players, I really feel that, just say, you know what, I'm not going there. These guys aren't – this is not the Tampa Bay Lightning here. I mean, Tampa Bay plays offense and they win Stanley Cups. Who's a more appealing get? To go to Tampa or to go to New York Islanders? You're not allowed to score. You're not allowed to play offense, just defense and grind every game. I'm sorry. That's not appealing. I don't think it's appealing to a scorer. You think Mike Bossy going to buy in? Hey, I'm a free agent. Let's see. I could go play for Tampa Bay with Steven Stamkos and Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov, or I go with the Islanders and play with Josh Bailey. I mean, come on.
And then Brian P said, that's why the Islanders media and Lou and Barry, the yes men.
True.
The Islanders cartel media.
That's right. The Islanders media cartel. They're all in lockstep. Lou is great. He knows what to do. It is all for Lou. Lou. He can do no wrong because he is Lou. Uncle Lou. He's the best. We're going to make him GM of the year.
Is that the song they're singing as they're marching down the streets and marching down New York, marching on Long Island? That's what they're singing?
It's like they sang in the Pride of the Yankees when they were singing for Lou Gehrig hitting a home run or something. The whole family was doing like a little conga line. Lou. Gehrig, wait. Lamarillo. Just
Michael T said, TJ, you got to fix the Islanders logo on your wall. The east end of the pieces are mixed up top to bottom, and they need to be reversed. You got to get the 4 stripes on a hockey stick. My OCD is freaking me out. I don't even know what you're talking about. I have to look at that later. I'm not sure.
It looks like the letter's in the right direction. I don't know.
Nick C there said, hey, Grumpy, how about Sinatra? I did it my way. Go ahead, Grumpy.
I was actually going to see Luck Be a Lady Tonight. Man, luckily you man. Frank Sinatra was great back in the day.
Oh goodness. Eli said Grump
did it his way.
Grump sounds like a politician there trying to sound empathetic, even if it doesn't show up in the standings. It shows we care about improving.
There you go.
Butchie Nextlier. The PPP line has been quite lit this year so far. Oh man, could you imagine all the memes? Oh, that'd be funny. Oh, good. Tommy B saying 3 hours, gents, wonderful job, lots of fun. Don't worry, grumpy old man. We will go at it. We'll go at it in the near future. Oh.
I'd love to see Tommy Babby try to spin this offseason fiasco positively.
Oh, hey, as long as we get Tarasenko, this has been positive. If we don't,
yes, that's it. We must get Tarasenko. It's a must. It's a must. That makes us very close to being a contender.
Oh, we're a contender if we get Tarasenko.
We still need to get someone else to play defense. We keep on, we kind of glossed over the loss of Nicoletti. We still need to get somebody to play his minutes.
Sal P said, we got shut out 2 of our last 3 games. The series wasn't as close as the optics look. We played them tough, and when it was a little close, they stepped on our throats 8-0. Let the younger boys like Bellows and Wallstrom play. Please!
Yeah, Sal is exactly right. That's the whole thing. I feel, I've said it before, I feel like Tampa Bay woke up, it was 2-2, and they're like, what? 2-2. Guys, hey,
Are you seeing this?
Vasilevsky. Hey, Stammer. Hey, Coochie. Hey, Braden. You realize the series is 2-2? Can you believe it? What? 2-2? What? All right, let's go out there. And they buried us. Just buried us. And then really, they outplayed us in the last game at the Coliseum. I'm so happy that we won. But they outplayed us in that game too. And then they dominated us in this game 7. I know score is only 1-0, but it felt like it was 50-0, honestly. To me, I felt like, and we played the perfect game in game 1. The absolute perfect game to go up 1-0. Perfect game. We could not have played any better. We won that game. And then, I just felt like Tampa just did whatever and still, even in that game, the last 3 minutes, Tampa finally woke up. And if that game would have went 5 more minutes, we would have lost game 1 as good as we played. Tampa's just good. Nothing wrong with losing to a good team.
Got a lot of comments to read here. Grumpy rolling down here about 3 minutes to 10 minutes and giving you a warning sign here. Grumpy, we're going to rapid fire. Michael T there said, don't tell me what to put in my pipe and smoke, Grumpy.
I think I was talking about Alexander's uncle.
Brian B there says, bye-bye, Villiers. I'll even put his bag on the train.
I'm always leery about trading guys who do well in the playoffs, and he's proven that he has.
Bailey's performed very well in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think he's because Bavili has been carrying him.
I knew you'd find a way to spin that. As soon as I'm like, I know Bailey's performed well in the playoffs, so it doesn't fit your narrative. I knew
it was too easy. Come on, Stewie.
You're the spin king.
You would figure with Bailey being so good in the playoffs, someone would want it, but nobody does. Nobody does.
Mario saying, Grumpy, I've been saying the same thing since the very first day they took over. The Islanders are not going to win a Stanley Cup with Lamoriello and Trotz.
Agreed.
Okay, if you get Tarasenko, I think we're competitors. I think we're one of the favorites.
I just think that we're going to run into Tampa or Florida coming out of that Southeast division. They're freaking good. Those two teams are really good. Watch out for Florida and watch out for damn Philadelphia too.
Sal P there said, let the youngsters shine. Don't sap their confidence when they make mistakes. Creative, talented players take chances and occasionally make mistakes. This should be Dobson's time to shine. The kid will be a stud. Deal with the mistakes.
That's right. It's part of the learning curve, right? You don't want a guy learning to play, playing sheltered minutes till he's 26 years old, and then he leaves for free agency. And you've done all developing and they leave. Why? Because they want to go to a team that's more fun and put some points on the board. Hey, who knows?
You want to talk about something funny, talking about, Dobson. Did you read an article? I think it was by our pals at Eyes on Isles. They went ahead and pumped out something saying, this would be a bad idea if the Islanders were to promote from within. And again, I think the Islanders should have found a free agent if they could, just to get, a year or so. Salo, Bolduc, et cetera, is ready to step into the lineup and be full-blown guys. But they said, we can't go ahead and promote from within the young guys like a Sebastian Aho, because that would be essentially like starting 2 rookies, because Sebastian Aho would be essentially a rookie. And, Noah Dobson. They said Noah freaking Dobson is the equivalent of a rookie. That son of a gun has played close to 100 NHL games if you're including the playoffs. He's near a rookie. Get the hell out of here.
Like I said, whatever Barry and Lou, whatever direction they're going, that's the direction that the Islanders Inquirer is going.
Can you sing and do the Barry dance again one more time? The guy's played exactly 100 games if you include his playoffs. He played 1 playoff game last year, or 1 playoff games in 2019, 2020, 19 last year here, and he's played 80 games in a regular season. So he's played exactly 100 games of action. Hey, he's a rookie.
He's not a rookie anymore. Sorry.
Bro, can you do that dance for me then one more time?
I don't remember the dance.
Oh, man. Mario said, I feel bad for people who just listen to the audio version. You have to clip in about 3 hours in, just get a look at that dance move. Mario said, Doug Armstrong sat there and saw Lamoriello give a first and a second for a third line center who could have easily signed as an unrestricted free agent. Why would he trade Tarasenko to the Islanders for a package with Bailey in it?
He wouldn't. And that's why he's waiting for something different. If they could have made that trade, if you were going to make that trade, you had to do it before the draft. That's when you had to do it. Now it's too late. I still think it's some way, shape, or form they still want to move Tarasenko, but they want to get something for him. But they're in the driver's seat. We're not.
Moving right along here, Grump. Rapid fire. Grumpy is below 1.25 million AAV, so we can just dump him in the AHL.
Probably the ECHL. I'm not even going to say I'm in the AHL caliber.
And then Brian P said, bingo. That's why I love coaches like Ryan Cooper, Gerard Gallant. They let their young, skilled players make mistakes, make plays. They live with the mistakes.
Because what happens when you make mistakes, you learn from them as you go on. That's why you play them at the beginning, particularly at the beginning of the year. You can live with it, right?
I like this comment.
All right, you can live with it, and then by the end of the year, you're getting the benefit of their improved play, and they're going to make less mistakes. That's what you want. That's what good teams do, I hate to tell you.
Michael T said, you know what? We got to get rid of this grumpy old guy. Sign a younger guy. I like the attitude.
Yeah, but I'm on vet minimum, so you don't see me being offered a, hey, Grumpy, you want a 1, 2, or 3-year deal? Sign whatever you want. Anything you want, you can have. Believe me, that's not my contract.
Michael S. there saying, let the young guys play. Also said, long-time Islander fan there since 1973. Thanks for producing a podcast. Let's go Islanders.
Thank you, Michael.
Absolutely. Thank you there. And Matthew there saying again, we need to get Tarasenko. Couldn't agree more.
I'm juiced for Tarasenko. I've been so excited.
How upset will you be if Tarasenko does not get traded to the Islanders?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Will you be upset?
You know what? Yeah, I'll be upset, but it's like I expect it. I expect it from him. I expect him to do nothing. You see it year after year. I don't know why you're surprised.
Absolutely. Brian P said, absolutely, Grump. Entertainment, Lou and Barely are the biggest destroyers on entering hockey.
True.
Right along there. And then Brett W said, I'd rather have Ross Johnson than Parise.
No. I mean, here's the thing. I like Ross Johnston. I'd rather have him playing than the $6 million man. They're the same guy. Except Ross Johnston is a deterrent for anybody bullying anybody on the Islanders. Matt Martin's not that guy anymore.
Matthew there says, Grumps, my boy. Dirk C there says, good morning. Little disappointment from the free agent frenzy for us, or the lack thereof, that is.
The only thing I can hope is eventually Simon Holmstrom makes it to unrestricted free agency and someone signs him on day one.
You did that one just for Dirk, right?
It was just for Dirk. So
Matthew said he needed to do it, Grump. If he didn't do it, we couldn't have signed Barzy. Talking about waiting to announce there. Whoa, that's not.
He should have had a deal in place for Barzell for a long time. He didn't. That went into training camp because he dragged it. If you have time, you use it. You can't be like that in free agency because if you do that, everybody's gone. Then you get the Jarnaks, the Timasovs, whatever ham and egg or hacks that are available out there.
Mm-hmm. And then Dirk also said Lou didn't do anything to bring up the youth like Simon, Aho, Bolduc.
I just, you know what? I don't want to say that Dirk likes Simon, Holmstrom, Casper better than the other guys, but he calls him by first name. Everybody else is by last name.
He knows Simon Holmstrom. He's good buddies. So he calls him Simon. The Zoo, Randall from the Zoo said, today was just as fun as rearranging my sock drawer. Come on, Lou.
Wait till you find out that your next sock has a hole in it called Kyle Palmieri, and the other one has no heel called Zach Parise.
George said, no news on the Islanders contracts yet. Also, what do you think about Josh Osang signing in Toronto? Will he make it to the NHL?
I am happy he signed with Toronto. I don't know if he's going to make it to the NHL. He's kind of old now, you know.
He's like 25, 26 years old. I was about
25. They killed his career. Killed him.
I'm happy. I'm happy he's got a PTO. Hopefully he makes the most out of it. I hope he earns himself a real contract, full contract, and he's able to make it up there and play, get some sustained play in the NHL. Somebody goes down, he gets asked to come up, and he goes ahead and lights the world on fire, turns himself into, again, a regular NHLer. That's the best case scenario. But no news on the contracts yet.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. For him, he'd have to have some injuries to get playing time in Toronto.
And Brian B. also said, talking about the Islanders, and you're not allowed to grow a little stubble.
Yeah. Whatever.
Talking about why the Islanders aren't fun, Grump.
I just can't. I mean, Steinbrenner wouldn't let the Yankees wear beards or long hair either. So it's the military background thing.
Moving right along there. Alexander also said the Lou crowd, Lou for president, Lou for president, Lou for president. Lou can do no wrong. Sign Parise. Maybe he's singing a song there for you. I didn't even know what words you said. I just thought it was a comment about that. Dirk also said they're grumpy. You sure that you like the Islanders more than the Bolts?
I do, but I can appreciate excellence. I can. And when I see teams doing it the right way, it's like, hats off to you. Got to salute you. I hate to say it. I'm not rooting for you. But, see, he keeps doing that again. I can't do that. Lou, babu, boo, fa-na-na-na-na, fa-fu. Everybody always loves Lou. Come on, Grump, take a stab.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
It was terrible. I know.
Moving right along there.
See, he's got me at a disadvantage because he's a musician. See.
Brett W. said the Panthers' defense sucks, and Bobrovsky was about as good as Tristan Jarry.
Yeah, but they have Spencer Knight, who's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer Knight's the real deal. And their defense, they've revamped that defense this offseason. Watch out for Tampa. Watch out for Florida. They're fun. And here's the thing. They're fun to watch. No one knows because no one goes. But they are fun to watch. Okay. That was you asked Tampa Bay, that was the toughest team they played. That they played in the playoffs. They say it to a man. That was the toughest series they had.
Tarek S. there says, what do you think of Brandon Saad?
No.
Nope. No. Again, yeah.
he's gonna get paid money, but no. Because everybody else is gone. There's nobody left now. So a guy like that, when musical chairs, when you get stuck with nobody, well, Brandon Saad, he's the last chair left. Somebody's gonna overpay for it.
So it happens sometimes when you wait for the dust to settle. Michael T, I'll look at that later there, talking about the logo. Apparently this is crooked, what I've got hanging up on my wall. Well, I'll have to take a look at that. Moving right along there, Brian P said, we don't need a ham and egg or hack taking our boy Grump's spot. No chance.
Thank you, Brian.
Oh, goodness.
I always find the young guys always trying to get rid of the grumpy old man. Struck a chord.
William C there is saying, considering seeing all the teams overpaying for bad contracts, I'm glad Lou didn't pull the trigger. He works in secret, which is why we haven't heard anything. Hopefully he pulls some magic off.
I was not enamored with the free agent group for what we needed. I was not enamored with it, but I did think that we would sign a left-handed defenseman. I thought we could have got a veteran, and we didn't. And I thought that was a mistake for today. That said, I have I didn't think, like I said, Palmieri's not the answer at right wing. It needed to be a Tarasenko, who, with everyone says, is out there and available. That's the type of guy we need. That's a type of move that says, you know what, we're going for it. Okay. And I'm afraid he's going to overpay his own guys, Casey Zizekas, Parise, and Palmieri, so we won't have the cash to go after Tarasenko. And that's a mistake. Because if you're overpaying bad contracts on day 2, there's no difference in doing it on day 1. Not if it makes it worse if you do it on day 2.
What films there saying, good eye on the Isles logo. You've got yourself a collector's item, TJ. I appreciate it. It was a gift. It was a gift. And then Eli said, if you had to sign Bailey on $10 million AAV for 5 years, or TJ on a 3-year, $3 million AAV contract, which would you choose, Grumpy?
I'm signing TJ. There's no way I'm signing Bailey.
I was about to say, I don't know if Bailey.
I don't think. Yeah, I'm not signing Bailey. You ever see Bailey? You ever see him on his interviews even? Well, we tried our best out there today. Talk about a wet fish. What a noodle.
What a wet noodle. Lazoo said, yes, you did it, Grump. However, I liked your first song and dance better. Good job, fellas, as always. Oh,
Hey,
man.
you always get a song and dance. Song and dance with the show. Dinner with the show, right?
Oh, there it is. Grumpy. Oh, and he says logo's fine. Appreciate that, Brian B. Now, Grumpy, we're right here at the end, about 3 hours and 30 minutes there. Man, oh man, another long one in the books. I feel like the podcast.
Hey, time flies when you're having fun, though. It doesn't seem like 3 hours.
No, it doesn't. Now, Grumpy, let me ask you this. Is there anything you have to say before we wrap things up? Because we're going to be back at it again live here Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then next Wednesday, we've got the draft review there by our friend. This is Couching.
Hold on. Are we doing a TJ and the Grumpy Old Man podcast tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. We're doing a TJ and the Grumpy Old Man podcast. We talk everything sports. I'm sure we're going to talk about the Olympics, Simone Biles. We talk about anything and everything controversial in sports. Usually where Grump and I disagree on items and we duke it out. You can find that podcast in the link below. And again, that is our general sports podcast. It's a fun one. It's a hoot. It's a holler. That is on Thursdays and Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow it's gonna be a little later. It's gonna be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, and
it still won't be 9 p.m. because TJ says it, and he's always late. When this podcast starts late, it's because TJ. But tomorrow, I guarantee we're going to talk about Queen Q, Queenie Quit. We'll definitely be talking about her tomorrow.
Queenie Quit, training camp. Simone Biles.
Yeah. Guess which side of the boat I'm on? Cool. Not the one the media's on. I can tell you that much.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know quitting was an admirable quality.
Oh,
you're a hero for being a quitter.
I've got a lot that I think about that and some comparisons, and we're just gonna play questions, but it's gonna be a fun one tomorrow. Again, that is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. That's in the link in the description below. Make sure you take that. Make sure you take a look there at that, especially if you've got nothing to do tomorrow. Tune in. Go ahead, get some hot takes from me and Grumpy.
And I did want to just say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Thank you, Grumpy, there. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening. Again, we appreciate you guys supporting us here. Lackluster first day of free agency here. We've got an off-season prep there. We're going to have a lot of guests on. It's going to be a fun time. Make sure you stay tuned in. Make sure you follow us there on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. We're going to be coming out with the schedule here. We're going to be getting every single Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to have some Wednesdays. We're going to be also going live 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But thank you again, Grumpy, and thank you everybody for tuning in.